hello, hello. Come on in. Come on in, everybody. Come on in and relax. We're going to be spending some time today.
One debt to society later.
Is this open for me to sit and chat?
Yeah, it's open. I can drag in T and Old School will too, because they play 40k.
I can smell you.
Ah! Yeah, you got dragged in here. Fuck you.
Okay, I need to mute you on YouTube. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's what always surprises me, because I can hear you twice.
Oh no.
It's fine. Don't worry. You're just getting pulled into a private room with some loot. You'll be fine.
Is
But
it
isn't
flavored at least?
It's onion flavored.
Oh.
I mean,
Why couldn't it
onions
be
are
like
tasty.
mango or something?
Yeah, no, we have to make sure those marine tendencies are not there.
I like mango. Mango and pineapple.
Wow, these ads are annoying. How the fuck do I get them off my screen?
Ads for what?
Oh, on the tier list site.
I don't know if you can without an ad blocker, but even if you are running an ad blocker, I think there's certain ones that get through now.
Fuck.
Or we're tier listing the Grotmas detachments. Oh, I have opinions.
Oh yeah, that's why I brought people in that would challenge me on my opinions.
Alright,
I'll
let me
keep
bring
it.
up all the detachments.
I'll keep it
'cause-
completely and totally honest with you. The only Grotmas that I am disappointed in is the fucking Dark Angels. Like, why?
Nah, disagree. But like.
I also am not including the Death Watch detachment because Death Watch just came back as an army.
Yeah, that just came back and kind of effed over Agents of the Imperial Codex, but we'll not go there. Well, like Ordo
I'm
Xenos
not
now.
even questioning it. I think
Like,
oh hey,
Death Watch
we-
getting some love was a good thing.
Hey, we want to combine all the Inquisitor armies into one. Oh hey, Death Watch is back. It's its own thing now.
It wouldn't be as bad, but the problem is that now, like the other two detachments in it, or the other three detachments in it are fine. The Ordo Xenos one is just pointless now. Like actually, like
Not
Um,
really. It's situational now. Like when you take Ordo Xenos.
well,
That's
like but you can just take
Oh shit, I forgot
an
the
Ordo
Legion of
Xenos.
Votan.
You can just take an Ordo Xenos Inquisitor in a Death Watch detachment as an ally. It's the only
Yes.
difference.
I could see where that might feel pointless because you can just take a singular one, but you know it still has its own charms and fun to it.
I forgot Leagues of Votan.
I mean,
It's
so
okay.
So does
Everyone's
GW.
still getting used to them existing again.
Oof. Oof. So, chat, hey there. So for context, over the past 24 days, if you haven't seen my shorts on YouTube, GW released 24 new detachments for each and every army in Warhammer 40k. We'll be going over 23 of them total, because I just need to remember shit. And I genuinely want to see the opinions. I'm just gonna be spicy today. I don't know, cause like I got opinions.
There were 24 detachments. It's just that two of them, the Index and the Assassin one, came out on the same day.
Yeah. So first up, we're gonna go in order. So yay, we're gonna start with the Death Guard. Isn't that fun? So Death Guard, Fly Blown Host. Death Guard infantry units from your army that are not embarked within a transport have the Scouts 5 inches in stealth abilities. So, personally, this detachment is okay if you like running infantry. If you are a Death Guard player that is not very heavy on infantry, this does fucking nothing for you. But then again, it's a Death Guard army. Why aren't you running infantry? It's kind of that thing for me, right?
Yeah, like I think it's important. Like I can make my own biases like here out the bat. I think that there's been a little bit of messaging issue with the Grotmas detachments from GW. I think the intention for these was always for them to be sort of focused skew lists that you maybe wouldn't put in a codex because it's too weird in like a specific aspect, if that makes sense. So like it's all meant to be like lists that don't necessarily detract from anything in your codex, but by the same token they're not going to be necessarily better than anything in the codex, so I wouldn't like assess them. I personally wouldn't assess them on those grounds. It's like how well does it achieve the thing that it's trying to do, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense to me.
In that respect, I think this one's actually quite good in the sense that it's the unmoving, tough, hard to kill infantry force, very much like their heresy equivalent of the Death Guard.
I mean, yeah, if you run a lot of infantry with your Death Guard army, this is the detachment for you, in my opinion. I mean, all your infantry that's not embarked in a scout, I mean, in a transport gets scouts 5 inches and stealth. Like, oh my god, that's great.
It also
Plus, I think that
it also plays into like the cloud of flies thing from like the Dark Imperium books, where like a cloud of flies is like in front of them and you can't really make them out until they're right on top of you.
Yeah, it makes them that sort of like unstoppable, like zombie horde almost, but like Space Marines.
Which honestly, looking at the mobility options that it gives Death Guard, because Death Guard have been... The major complaint about Death Guard is that their entire army ability is based around pushing their opponent off the table.
Yeah.
And...
Slowly but surely.
Yeah.
Which, Death Guard is a great army for that.
Which, yeah. The movement options it gives, and the fact that, like, Scouts is always a good ability to have. So, like, I want to give it an A, but I don't know why. Something's, like, pulling it to a B for me. Top of B, but, like, B.
I'd give it an A, in my opinion, especially, mainly because of the enhancements.
Ooh, right, I haven't heard the enhancements.
They get.
See, personally, it feels like you aren't stuck only having to field the biggest units you can, though. And that's something I really like, because one thing I've noticed, I don't play a tabletop because I can't afford to, but I do have friends that Death Guard's expensive. Death Guard's very expensive with it.
Especially if you're going the infantry only route.
Yeah, like this really lets Death Guard players kind of look at their point pool and go, okay, I can do a little something with this, instead of I can only take one squad of Plague Marines if I really want to make this work. Or, oh hey, can I afford these?
Well, also, like, with the Rejuvenating Swarm enhancement, all your infantry regains all of their lost wounds at the end of each turn.
Yeah.
Which makes the Plague Demons more viable to bring again.
It makes the it really makes the what's the Terminators without the scythes? They're like basic Terminators.
I think just Death Guard Terminators.
Is it just that, like?
No, they have a name. They have a name.
Is it Death Shroud Terminators?
I think so.
Because there's the cool ones.
Death
The
Shroud.
cool ones
Death
with the
Shroud.
scythes
Death Shroud is the scythes.
Yeah. Okay. because there's the cool ones with the size that people that, from what I understand, Death Guard players like,
Light
and then
Lord.
there's the other ones.
Light Lord.
Light Lord Terminators are like the other ones, which are like, yeah, they're not quite as good as Death Shroud, but you get them in bigger units, and I'm like, those are slightly more viable now because you've managed to introduce the thing that people were moaning about in terms of Death Guard, which is they didn't feel tough, they didn't feel resilient, because they wanted to change the playstyle to be Death Guard is about debuffing your enemy. And I think what this attachment does is it gives actually unlike the one from the index, because obviously we haven't seen their codex yet. It gives them actually a very interesting different way of playing, which is that like that infantry swarm where they legitimately feel tough and resilient without just giving everything feel no pain.
Yeah. Or giving them +1 to toughness.
Yeah. Because they're already like toughness 6 and 7.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to point out is
was...
it makes it feel like you don't have to camp your biggest fucking
Mhm.
units on an objective all game long.
Yeah, that's a massive thing. Now I'm seeing why like I want to make it top of B, but not A, and it's the stratagems.
Yeah.
let me scroll to that.
I feel like that's personal preference on the strategies.
It
Yeah.
is personal preference. This does come down to my personal preference at the end of the day.
I think it's kind of interesting that there's a couple of these that are like the detachment rule is kind of whatever, but then like either the enhancements or the stratagems really like play into that in a good way. And there's a couple of them that just aren't there, and obviously a couple of them are just kind of misses. But like,
Well, yeah, I mean that's what I like. Everything for this backs up and reinforces their detachment rule instead of just being like, oh hey, here's some extra random stratagems that they've done in the past
I think
that
I'm okay.
kind of don't really fit with the theme.
I think having it as like a high B though is like a good, and
Yeah.
like maybe reassess towards the end because it could very easily go up to an A depending on what else we put in B.
Oh yeah, it could very easily. That's why I said top of B.
Yeah.
So that's where Death Guard will sit for now. Top of B, they are a very fun. This is a very fun detachment. This is a very like fluffy detachment. I like that a lot. It's just really the stratagems, in my opinion, that are holding it back. Because like 3 out of the 6 are just not good. But we'll see if that opinion changes.
I guess the reason why 3 out of the 6 isn't as appealing to say you is because of how you have to play around them.
That is totally fair. All right.
Because I think every stratagem that they got is a big bonus because now you can't just field specific units and counter anything Death Guard can do. You actually have to be wary of what stratagems they're gonna pop.
All right. Next up, the Lion's Claw Dark Angels Detachment. Each time an enemy
That's
unit,
what it is.
excluding monsters and vehicles, within engagement range of your Raven Wing units from your army falls back, all models in that enemy unit must make a desperate escape attempt. When doing so, that enemy unit is battle shocked. Subtract 1 from each of those tests.
I think it's stupid.
Yeah.
If you have a Deathwing unit and it declares a charge, if one or more targets that are in the charge are within engagement range of one or more Ravenwing units from your army, add 2 to the charge roll. And yeah.
Only
Like,
for Dark Angels, you cannot have any other Astartes from from any other chapter in your army, which is the part I don't like. If it was if they had changed it to Unforgiven, you could have any Unforgiven.
Christ.
I'd like it more.
Well, like it's stuff from the Dark Angels book. You can have Unforgiven chapters because you can paint your models however you want.
So, my big issue with this, right, is Dark Angels kind of already was, like, if you don't push Deathwing, you kind of don't really have a front line. And now...
It's
Nah,
either
that's all you
Plasma
really wanna
Blasters and Azrael or Deathwing
Yeah, like-
Terminators.
Yeah, like all you're gonna see from Deathwing list now. I mean, Dark Angels list is Deathwing. Like, there's no. It's gonna get boring, in my opinion. I think they really fucked Dark
So,
Angel
I
players
think-
over.
I think, as you said, we're only going to see Deathwing, Ravenwing, and the interchangeable
Ravenwing.
companions and armies. That's
So,
it.
Like,
I'm gonna state something here. So, chat, to know if a detachment is good or not is the conditions in which you get your buffs. So, like, World Eaters, they get plus, if they charge, they get +1 to their strength and attacks. That's a very easy condition to meet because that's what the army wants to be doing. This detachment demands that you run not only very expensive Ravenwing fast units, it demands that you run Deathwing units to make the most out of your Ravenwing units. Which, by the way, your Ravenwing sometimes doesn't want to be in melee combat at fucking all. As well, it doesn't work on monsters and vehicles. It only works
Which
on
means
infantry.
any Chaos army you play against, or NID, your army just basically can't do shit.
Yeah,
If you're fighting, also with Custodes, if you're fighting Custodes, you're going to get fucked.
yeah. So
Oh yeah, because your Deathwing is
Like,
now
half
in
of my-
close proximity to shit it doesn't want to be pinched between.
Especially if it's going up against which we'll get to it later, like, especially against the new Custodes.
Yeah.
detachment, you're screwed.
So counterpoint. My buddy that I play regularly with, he is a Dark Angels player. He loves the Dark Angels. He has collected Dark Angels as long as I have known him, which at this point is now 30 plus years. Good God.
It's fine.
So-
Lasting friendships.
So he saw this, and his reaction was, "Oh my God! Now I have a reason to run my Ravenwing."
which that
Fair.
that is a
Yeah,
very
fair.
legit reason. Ravenwing is one of those things where, oh my god, their models look so fucking cool. I showed them to my friend from Florida, and she loves like the Polish cavalry from like back in the day with like the wings and everything. She
Yeah.
loves how the Ravenwing look, and I am in full agreement with her. And they do need like a lot of love. Like Samael, their captain, their character, he's still resin, even though like he should get a model update.
Oh yeah, I think they will next edition. Like, full on.
Which is weird because basically almost the rest of the Dark Angels line has gotten updates except for him.
But the Dark Angels line is clearly is 3 armies. It's
Yeah.
3 very distinct elements, and you can do 1 per edition. So it's like, yeah, they're gonna do Ravenwing next edition. It's not like
Like,
it's
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's almost kind of obvious that they're going to probably do that at this point. But like he looked at it and was like, oh, so the way this is meant to play is like my Ravenwing, they go out and they do the hunt and they pin the enemy down and then they pull back and then in come the Deathwing as this hammer blow. And it's like, yeah, I get it from like a design perspective. Rules wise, it's not the greatest. I'm still saying it's probably a D, but like
I'd put it at C.
it's like it's like
it's-
high D because it's like high D, like low C, because like fluff wise, this is how the Dark Angels are meant to fight.
Yeah,
Like,
this is
and
why I wanted people
We're
to come
agreeing
on
that this is like a interesting idea for them.
They
Comma.
just,
for
However-
execution.
yeah.
Yeah, you're basically Dark Angels already struggled against certain armies, and I'll
Yeah. So,
argue that to anyone. I
like-
don't care. It's very
like
true.
I said, rules wise, this is heavily conditional, i.e., it has a restriction of they can't be monsters and vehicles for the first ability, and then the second ability you only get to add 2 to the charge roll, which by the way is amazing. Like any army would kill to have that. If a Deathwing unit is already engaged, which if a Deathwing unit is stuck in combat, that means one of 2 things. Either the Deathwing just failed their rolls to kill the unit they want to kill, or something bad has happened and that Deathwing unit is not going to survive. So why would I throw more men into the meat grinder, kind of a thing?
Yeah. I mean, as we said earlier, it's clear where they were going with this, but as you said, execution, but also,
I'm going to give it a low C.
excuse me. Yeah, I'd give it a C, but not only execution, but like within 40K itself, that kind of hammer and anvil playstyle is very hard to get right.
Yeah,
Yeah, because they tried the two distinct forces synergy thing with the Custodies and the Sisters.
Yes, and
And Custody players
I've
don't
bitched
like
about that enough.
don't like that detachment. But it's a really cool conceptual way of fielding those two forces and having those two forces like
and
play
that's
off each other.
that's why I
Yeah.
didn't want to give this a D,
So-
because I'm also looking at this from like a creativity standpoint as well. And this, I like when armies actually play closer to their fluff more than closer to like, oh, what's competitively viable, kind of a thing.
I see this being used a lot in narrative campaigns.
Same.
So I do want to say something positive about this real quick.
All right.
It is a good rule attachment against Necrons to a point.
Yeah.
Oh, that
I
is.
do
want to
point out that
Yeah.
technically Dark Angels now have the upper hand against Necrons where they used to suffer.
Yeah.
Because
That
their
is-
Deathwing would always get engaged, survive the combat, but the next turn they were fucked.
Yeah, I,
Now that's not the case.
I could see this being a really interesting attachment to run if you were taking like a Dark Angels force into like a Pariah Nexus Crusade.
That is totally fair.
I
And like
I did want to
kinda
give them pops for that.
I would kind of like to see more Crusade and narrative focused attachments. There's a couple later on that I think actually very much are that. One in particular that I'm thinking of right now, which I'm going to argue furiously, actually should probably be like an A.
Now, the other army that they also have good synergy against, due to the changes that we're seeing, this is just my opinion, I do believe that Dark Angels are going to do very well against Eldar in Dark Eldar now in situational circumstances when it comes to objective play.
I think they'll do especially good against Eldar once the Codex comes out.
Oh yeah.
And their army rule changes.
Yeah.
Because
I-
now
I
it's turned
will-
into you don't want to get stuck with them in close range, because once that Raven Wing hits, anything you just had is gone. Anything.
Yeah, that is something I haven't thought about before. Is this is great for objective play?
So, moving on to Tyranids. Leader beasts.
I think Tyranids are eating.
Tyranids, see below, and winged Tyranid prime units. Hey, bro. And
Hi.
winged Tyranid prime units from your army have a 5+ invulnerable save. Keywords: Tyranid warriors with ranged bioweapons and Tyranid warriors with melee bioweapons gain the Tyranid warriors battle line. And with such a unit, and while that unit is not battle shocked, increase its objective control value to 3+. You know what this is, chat? This is, we're promoting Space Marine 2, the detachment. Because what are we mostly fighting in Space Marine 2? Warriors.
Tyranids. Warriors.
I also want to point out that
Occult
while a
Air
lot of people
Terminators.
may not like playing warriors, I personally like their viability, especially because they have their own command structure that doesn't require them to be within range of a bigger unit.
I am always in favor, for Tyranids at least, to see the different aspects of the swarm. Because I rarely see warriors being used. If they are being used, it's like a Venom cannon squad in the back.
Yeah. They're also
Or-
like they're
Or as
also like
synapse. Or as synapse creatures.
Yeah.
well they're also like practically awkward at the moment because they're a relatively expensive kit that isn't getting put in any of the bargain sets. They're not coming in any of the combat patrols. They didn't come out in Leviathan. They didn't get redone, and they're not coming out in like any of the pay magazines. The thing I will point to specifically about this detachment, and it is my favorite thing, and I want them to do more of this, is the enhancement Synaptic Tyrant.
Yeah, the Neurotyrant model only. During the declare battle formation step, the bearer can be attached to a Tyranid warrior unit. I like that.
Yeah. So your Neurotyrant now has a bodyguard of 6 Tyranid warriors instead of a bunch of Neurogons. That is a way scarier Neurotyrant now.
Oh yeah.
I'm also a huge fan of the synaptic amplification.
Which one is that?
The stratagem.
Synaptic amplification. Okay. Your shooting phase, 1 Tyranid unit from your army. If that unit is a Tyranid unit, select up to 1 endless multitude unit from your army that is not battle shocked within 6 of it. Until the end of that phase, each time a model in those units makes an attack, reroll a wound roll of 1, and if it's a Tyranid warrior unit, reroll hit rolls of 1. Ooh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Tyranids are sitting at a solid A to S, in my opinion. Because this has now made Tyranids 1,000 times scarier. Because warriors are now actually able to be used to flank you versus just keeping smaller units in the game.
Yeah, this...
It's taking away the swarm faction.
I will also point out that that whole like Neurotyrant can be attached to Tyranid warriors. If a Neurotyrant is attached to Tyranid warriors, those Tyranid warriors get +1 to hit and and if the target is battle shocked, they also get +1 to wound.
Oh shit!
On all of their attacks.
Now, granted, that becomes a Death Star unit.
Yes.
But
it's not that expensive.
But it's not that expensive of a Death Star unit, which is great. Plus, like, wait, how big is a Neurotyrant again?
9 wounds, toughness 8.
Can it fit in a spore? And a 4.
I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up. Quick, because if it can fit in a spore, oh baby, you're cooking. Oh baby, you're cooking. Tyranids.
So something I do want to point out is for Tyranids that a lot of us have overlooked at times.
Yeah.
As well as this new detachment coming out and giving them all these bonuses, we need to remember that while they're getting this, they're still viable with all their other stratagems while running warriors like this. So you have to be...
What's the name of the drop pod again?
Now.
For them?
Tyrannocyte?
Tyrannocyte? Alright.
I think so.
We're not calling it horsecock anymore?
No, that's the guns.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I look at that drop pod, and all I see is that at the top of it, leaking fluid.
Oh, now I'm sad. It contains 20 Tyranid infantry models or 1 Tyranid monster. With a wounds of 12 or less.
Mm.
And each infantry model
really hurts.
And each model with a wounds characteristics of more than 1 takes up 3 spaces. Ooh. Oh well, you'll be walking these guys, but hey, there's a lot more to be scared of than a Death Star unit walking up the board, which
I was about to say, if it's walking up the board, you know, guardsmen can kinda see what's coming at them. So,
but this gives Tyranid players a new way to play, a new way to think outside the box, and genuinely, like, just giving models a 5-up invulnerable save. A lot of people, like, downplay that extra dice roll, but, like, genuinely, as someone who plays Thousand Suns, sometimes just having that 5-up roll can mean so much for a game.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that tournament that I came second in, a lot of that was just my Terminators toughing it out with 5 or 4+ invulnerable saves, along with my Rubric Marines. Never underestimate the power of a save that, yeah, like, it's a 2 out of 6 chance of happening, but I'd rather take the 2 out of 6 rather than no chance at all. So like I'm gonna put
That 2
Tyranids.
out of 6 though is a 1 out of 3 in reality. So
Yeah.
you know.
So I'm gonna put
You look at it
Tyranids.
that way.
Tyranids are a middle A ground for me. There is some things with their detachment that like I wish they'd go a little bit more with. But at the same time, like this is great. But at the same time, I fucking hate warriors in Space Marine 2. Because I've been playing by myself on the missions to just level up bolters, and 9 times out of 10, every time I've been down, it's because of fucking warrior spam. So fuck you.
The ones with the
I'm
whips
not
is
gonna
the
lie,
worst.
you could
in my
you
opinion.
could always hit me up to play. Cause I see you on. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll load up. No, I don't see him in Discord, so he's probably on his own.
All right, now this is the one where I got into fights. I got into fights over this one. Thousand Suns Hex Warp Thrall Band. Ooh boy, chat. So
I
Just-
think
just
they're
wanna
having
say-
some fun.
I just want to say fuck you.
so
I think they're having fun.
there is so in the game, this is basically the Demons of Chaos's main army ability as a detachment for Thousand Suns. So we have something called the Flow of Magic with this detachment. Your deployment zone is always within the army's flow of magic. If you control objectives, if you control at least half the objective markers in No Man's Land, so 2 of the 3, the flow of magic extends to that end of the board, so No Man's Land is covered. And if you control your opponent's objective marker, the flow of magic controls the entire board. Each time a Thousand Suns model from your army makes a psychic attack, reroll a wound roll of 1. If such a model is wholly within your flow of magic, each time it makes a psychic attack, add 1 to the wound roll. Now, so many people are saying this sucks. Like, our first attachment's way better. I respond with, are you fucking insane? Adding 1 to wound? None of our psychic attacks are wounding on 6s anymore. Are you kidding me? That's amazing.
It's like you said with the Tyranids of like, have you been enjoying playing Space Marine 2? Well, this is the end of Space Marine 2.
Exactly.
So in my
Also,
opinion, even
as
though
a
I'm not a
player-
Thousand Sun lover, I just want to say this real quick. If anyone says Thousand Suns are garbage with this detachment, I need you to open your eyes real quick and go read just the basic rubric Space Marine list real quick. Not even their term mages, nothing. Just go look at a basic rubric Space Marine and tell me that that +1 isn't gonna make your day hell.
This
Like as a player who plays an army that doesn't have any psychic abilities whatsoever and has practically no psychic defenses, fuck this detachment.
this
I was gonna say is the people I've seen complaining largely about this. The caveat to that complaint that I've always seen is this does not buff my current tournament meta army, and to
Oh.
that I say I don't care. This is a different way for that army to play.
exactly. So, for those that don't know, I came second in the tournament that I played in because I was abusing rubrics. I was abusing my Terminators -1 to wound. I was abusing my Rubric Marines reroll hit rolls of 1 whenever I could. I was spamming Magnus Psychic shenanigans like crazy. Thousand Suns right now are, if you see a Thousand Suns army on the table, it's Rubric Terminators, Rubric Marines, Arimon, Sorcerer and Terminator armor, and fucking Magnus the Red. That's all their army is. This encourages you to drop Magnus and start taking more stuff that wants to control the board. A lot of people underestimate Zangor Enlightened, which are the guys on discs, but like having that movement and controlling the board, having that control and moving around the board and sniping people is amazing. I do not like Zangors at all, but like this is a pretty convincing argument for Zangor Enlightened in your army.
This really encourages you to bring as many psychic weapons as possible.
Also, it's worth saying, I think this is one of the ones that the competitive scene, and I say that with very heavy air quotes, are going to reevaluate in about 6 to 8 months whenever the Thousand Sons Codex comes out, because if the rumor that the various demon factions are getting split up amongst their respective Legion books, which means Thousand Sons suddenly have access to Horrors of Tzeentch and Flamers,
Kairos Fate Weaver,
Kairos Fate Weaver, the Greater Demon. I can't remember the proper name for the Greater Demon now.
Changer of Ways.
Changer of Ways. Thank you. And I believe all of their demon attacks are psychic.
And there's one thing in here that makes this an A rank hardcore. Through the Veil. It's deep. It's basically what we could do last edition. We could teleport. For one command point, we can teleport. The other detachment, the main one that we have that with a once per game upgrade Umberlific Crystal, which is 35 points. This is the Umberlific Crystal for one command point.
Yeah.
So, like...
They're cheating right now.
This is stupid. And note, if it is within the flow of magic, it's outside of 6, not outside of 9.
I think this is hands down an A-tier detachment. I love it.
Wait, no. This is also really good. Through the Veil is also really good for flanking because it specifies 6 horizontally.
Yes.
So if you have buildings on your board, oh god!
I want everyone to understand very quickly that Thousand Sons. Because I didn't know about the horizontal. I didn't know about that. Thousand Sons are going to have you wishing to gods that you could do something against it to stop it. If you have no type of actual board control, you're fucked.
It also gives you Fight on Death with Wrath of Doomed. And...
yeah, the only way I don't necessarily think it's an S tier is because, like, yeah, I don't know from a competitive standpoint if, while it is a very cool way to play them, if it is, like, as abusable.
This is,
like,
from a competitive standpoint, because I play Thousand Sons competitively, what we struggle with the most is board control. So, you will be having to take units that can help control the board, which it does hinder you just a bit. Which is why this is not S.
Yeah.
But it is an A. A high A.
So you're taking more of those Zangor, basically.
Yeah. And
in my opinion, with this whole thing, though, is they didn't miss.
They did not miss. This is, like I said, this is an A. Because it offers more options for your Thousand Sons than just, stratagem to turn your combi bolter psychic, devastating wounds, blah, blah, blah. Because that's what everyone's bitching about. Alright. On to the next one. Our Adeptus Mechanicus lovers. Hallowed Creed Battleclade.
Oh. This turns your Mechanicus army into a fast attack army.
So
and I love it.
In your command phase, depending on the size of the game, you can affect a certain amount of units. Basically like 1, 2, 3. Then, until the start of your next command phase, those units gain the Halo Override keyword. Then you select one of the override abilities below. No, you select all these units in each of your command phase, so it's not just stuck to one. My brain, when I first read this, is like, oh, so like one unit in your army gets this? Okay. But no, it's, you pick 1 or like 2 or 3 units in your army, depending on how big the game is. So like, a standard game of 40k is, you're going to be picking 2 units every turn. So, you can either give them 2+ movement, add 1 to their toughness, they can charge even after they advanced, or you give them stealth. Chat, I need you to understand something about Warhammer 40k. Movement is your best friend. And the ability to give units the ability to advance and charge and to movement is amazing.
This is an S tier, in my opinion.
This is on top of them buffing the Adeptus Mechanicus army rule to basically make them one of the most lethal shooting armies in the game. Like Tau look at their shooting and go like, oh my god, we wish we had it that good. The enhancements for this detachment do things that people want the other detachments in their army, in their codex to do. I've seen a few people say it. This feels like an apology for the Adeptus Mechanicus codex.
It really does.
Yeah.
Like translocular dryad wafers. Yeah, your robots actually get your detachment rule, unlike every other detachment in the codex.
Which, by the way, if you want a unit in 40k, which is like my top 10 problem units that I deal with, fuck Mechanicus robots.
I want Mechanicus to have more
Mechanicus robots are allowed to live.
I want Mechanicus robots I want them to have more robots because I think that's the coolest aspect of them in Horus Heresy. But that's
oh yeah, no, agreed. I want their Horus Heresy units in 40k.
Yeah, or a 40k version of them, or a 40k
honest.
version of them in the same way that the Castellan are a version of the Castellan.
Yeah.
Like a 40k downgrade essentially of
Castellax in 40k GW, you fucking cowards.
Well, they don't have to, but like
One
give us
death
an
to
equivalent
society
of the
later.
Domitar and the Thalax. You know what I mean? Like let them have an equivalent of tech thralls.
Yeah. Thank you for the $20 there, Gritty. But yeah, no, this detachment itself helps not only regular Skitarii units, but it helps their machines, it helps their vehicles. The downside is, yeah, you are only picking like 2 units a turn, but like what 2 units a turn? Oh my god. Like you can keep your opponent guessing the entire time.
I've seen a lot of like tournament AdMech players being like, I want to run this detachment competitively. I think this is this is like the way for us to actually be decent competitively. And I'm like, cool. Good. I'm glad you got that.
This detachment is, in my opinion, an S tier detachment. Not the top, but like this is what Mechanicus sorely needs. And as well, like, again, it's only 2 units a turn, so your opponent can still fight back. This isn't like a one-sided slaughter, but this really, really helps Mechanicus and makes the game much more interesting, because now you have to think laterally when it comes to, like, oh, okay, so now I have to threat prioritize. Instead of just like, okay, Mechanicus, it's obviously the robots that you kill first. Don't give a shit about the Skitarii. They're just gonna get, like, dropped instantly. Whatever. Now it's, oh, fuck, those Rust Stalkers are coming up. Like, they're fast. Or, like, the Sidonian Dragoons.
The enhancements are also really good. My favorite Sanctified Ordnance, adding 6 inches to the range. And you can reroll hazardous tests.
That is... Ooh.
Like, yeah, this is definitely an apology, and they knocked it out of the park.
So
This is great.
Mechanicus is our first S tier.
If this is like an indication of what they are like going in terms of direction for like 11th edition Mechanicus, like AdMech gonna be eating good.
Yeah.
Next up, speaking of machines, Necrons. Relentless Onslaught. Now,
What? The Shatterstar Arsenal.
Yep. So each time a Necron model from your army makes an attack that targets a unit within range of 1 or more objective markers, add 1 to the hit roll. In addition, Ranged weapons equipped by Necron vehicles and Necron mounted models, excluding Titanic, from your army have assault. So, let me
What do Necrons have that's Titanic?
I believe they have the Titan and the Scorpic Stalker or whatever.
Okay, so not the monoliths or the
Cage one as well. That's Titanic.
Oh, the I should know this. Tesseract Vault.
Yeah, Tesseract Vault. That's Titanic.
Okay.
So yeah, just like 3 models in their army don't get it. Ooh, 3 models. So Necrons, their vehicles are some of the best vehicles in 40k.
Mm-hmm.
They are fucking terrifying. I do not like going up against them. Monoliths are Titanic.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, still, the point is that they don't have very many Titanic units.
Yeah, the point still
monoliths are
stands.
cool.
But like their vehicles being able to assault, like have assault, holy shit! And being able to reroll wound rolls, add 1 to the hit roll. Sorry, adding 1 to hit. Yeah, it's not rerolls, but like that's still pretty fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. Sorry, I just need to confirm that like Necron monoliths are Titanic.
They should be.
My computer will stop having a fucking seizure. Monolith. Yeah, Titanic. Monoliths are Titanic. Good to know.
Okay.
Just had to make sure.
I thought they were kind of just like a generically given monolith, since that was the end-all be-on until the Catan shards were introduced.
Either way,
I gotta be realistic. I would be terrified if they weren't considered
Titanic.
I would have concerns and questions.
That's fair. But yeah, like this really helps out the Necron biker unit. Because, like, their Tomb Blades, they got hit hard when 10th edition came out. They don't hit as hard anymore, but now, like, adding 1 to hit and giving them assault really helps them out. Honestly, this is just like a solid middle-of-the-ground, like, B-tier detachment.
I've seen people say this is like actually what they want to run competitively for Necrons.
Yeah, so normally this would be a C tier, but for me, the what bumps it up to B tier is one of the enhancements they can take gives that bear's unit the ignores cover ability.
Yeah.
Which is I don't know why you would. It's only for 15 points too. Take it. Everyone's going to take that for all their units.
I can tell you as a Votan player, ignores cover is one of the best things to have on your units.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, everybody, +1s are extremely annoying to deal with.
-1s are also extremely annoying to deal with.
Exactly. And if you're ignoring cover, then your opponent's not getting their regular armor save anymore against AP1 weapons. It's what makes AP1 in 10th edition so scary. No one gives a shit about, like, AP3, because, like, anything that's, like, AP3 has, like, really, really low amount of shots. But, like, AP1 is really fucking annoying to deal with. And then, like, you add that on to ignores cover. Why do you think Thousand Suns Rubric Flamers are so terrifying? That AP1 really hurts.
I honestly think this is an A tier detachment. I'm not convinced it's B. I think it's A.
You know, I will concede to the group that this is an A tier. I will concede to the group. Now the question is, does it go in front of the Thousand Suns or behind it?
Behind it.
Yeah, it's low A tier. It's like A minus.
All right, that makes sense.
Better than Tyrannid, not as good as Thousand Suns.
Yeah. All right. Next up is. Oh, I didn't even put the fucking. This is just the Assassin's detachment, right?
Yep, the Veil Blade Elimination Force. This is where I get to have a fight with people.
I didn't put them in the list there with an image, but we'll talk about it anyway. So, Assassins, for those that don't know, for 40k's history, Assassins were always a unit that you could bring in to any other Imperial army. They acted independent. They could not benefit from any of the abilities the other army they joined gave, but they were essentially like, I'm going to murder anything I look at.
They're a force multiplier.
Yeah, and this detachment here, the reason why I'm not putting it in here is because you don't run Assassins as an army. You run them by themselves inside an army. So, the entire point of this is, you're upgrading an assassin of your choice. So, you upgrade the Calidus, you upgrade the Calexis, you upgrade the Evisor, you upgrade the Vindicar. So, genuinely, I think these are fine. These are fun. Do I see, Assassins being a unit that you bring consistently? No. But, again, this is fun, which is what I appreciate about them. But now I'm gonna let Will go on a tangent here, because I could hear the kettle boiling all the way from Britain. So, Will?
It's okay. Okay. So, I hear what you're saying about you don't feel the Assassins as a force by themselves. They are a force multiplier that you add into other armies. That is the entire point of all of the agents of the Imperium units. But the point of the detachments in their book is to allow you to run them as a force by themselves. I don't think that book does a terribly good job of it, because it doesn't have a couple of key pieces that I think it needs. That's neither here nor there.
Where's my Inquisitorial Lehman Russ?
Where's my Inquisitorial Stormtroopers?
Yes.
Why were Scions not moved in as essentially their base infantry? However, I digress. The Veilblade Elimination Force is, in my opinion, a S-tier detachment if we were assessing it purely based on fluff. Because what this is meant to represent, this detachment, what this is meant to represent is the assassin team that is put together in the Horus Heresy book Nemesis, or in the Assassinorum Kingmaker novel. The concept of that elite group from all the different assassin temples where you take one of each of the specialists and they go up against an army by themselves. This detachment, if you field it, the assassins come to, I believe, around 800 points. So you've got about 200 points of other agents of the Imperium units, like an Inquisitor and some stuff, or a rogue trader plus their crew, or whatever it is. And you play this detachment in a 1,000 point game. This is an amazing detachment for narrative play. This is a horrible detachment for competitive or tournament play, but it is a phenomenal detachment for narrative scenarios. This is exact, because it makes all of your assassins into these super powered death machines that do exactly what they want to do. The Vindicary assassin is the greatest shot in the galaxy. The Calexis assassin is teleporting the battlefield because she's secretly disguised as 4 or 5 different guys. The Evisor is just a whirlwind of death. The Calexis is teleporting around and shredding psychers with his psychic ability. They have and then they can call in airstrikes on themselves, the orbital oversight. One of the abilities is literally they radio in and it calls in an airstrike on their location and they might die out of it, but it's a suicide mission, because that's what all of those novels are. I think it's a B tier detachment in terms of actually, because it's completely unusable for 2,000 point competitive play, but it is phenomenally good for that like small narrative game.
And that's why I didn't want to include it, because it's 4 models. It only affects 4 models. But that's but that's the thing. It's fun. It is stupid fun. This is incredibly a moment of like, oh my god, I am playing the books.
Mm-hmm.
Hence why like I didn't want to include it, because like we are looking at like comparing and contrasting. Comparing and contrasting, this gets blown out of the fucking water by everything else. But like just out of sheer hype alone, that Assassin's got this much love, I wanted to talk about it. I didn't want to rank it. Like, again, the Assassin's book was fun.
So my only thoughts on this for Assassins that is any way, shape, or form potentially negative is they don't really get anything that we can enjoy outside of those narrative battles.
Yeah.
That is my only gripe with it. I think it's cool otherwise. I personally want to see Assassins more though when I watch people play the tabletop game, because it's fun seeing Assassins do their thing. It's fun watching someone worry because their commander just got nuked by an Evasaur, you know?
So, admitting here, I actually run Assassins in Horus Heresy. I run a Vindicar and a Calidus Assassin in Horus Heresy, and I love using them in there.
Oh yeah, I want the other 2 temples in 40k. Give me the other 2 temples. Give me Venom and the information ones.
I want the Venom one, all for the fact of, yeah, no, it doesn't matter if your Warlord survives, they're dying by the end of it. There's the 3 other main temples as well, because there's the 3rd one that no one ever remembers, which is there's the Venom one, the information one, and the one that kills you from like a star system away.
No, there's the one that is like they're like a blade master, and they like study exactly how you fight and then counter it.
What are they called? What I made a joke. They're the Taskmaster Assassin temple.
Yeah, it's because they're based on the in this old Warhammer model thing. They're based on the first Warhammer Assassin model.
Yeah,
that was the Rogue Trader Imperial Assassin.
So, moving on from Assassins, because we do have to move on here.
If I may make a request.
What's up?
Could we talk about orcs?
We'll get to the orcs when we get to the orcs.
Okay.
Because like orcs did get one in here.
Kind of felt like since we just had some positives with the assassin/negatives, we should make the orc players feel.
Well, we'll get to that. We're getting through everyone today.
Yeah.
So the reason why I want to move on is because TCOM is our resident Adeptus Custodes player.
Oh.
Yes.
So it is the solar spearhead, and that's why I didn't want to deny him this.
I've already built a 2,000 point army completely around this detachment.
Hold on, I'll let you explode in a minute. But let me read off the rule. Auric armor for the Custodes solar spearhead. While an Adeptus Custodes vehicle unit from your army is starting strength, add 2 to its objective control characteristics unless it's an aircraft. Vehicles also, if they go below starting strength, get to reroll hit rolls of 1. And if they are below half strength, reroll wound roll and hit rolls of 1. As well, Adeptus Custodes walker units add 2 to their movement, add 1 to their advance and charge rolls, and Custode walker units from your army can be made into characters, and yes, one of them can be your warlord.
This has brought everything I love about Custodes in 30k and brought it into 40k. Because in 40k, you don't really have much incentive to bring vehicles other than transports, other than like maybe bringing a dreadnought as to hold down the infantry of whatever army you're fighting against. This gives me a reason to bring more vehicles and just more walker units entirely, and I fucking love it, especially with the 2-inch move characteristic added to my walkers, which means now my dreadnoughts can keep up with my infantry, which has always been the hardest part about playing Custodes, is having to wait for your dreadnought to move up the board because it's so much slower than everything else you have. And with your enhancements, this completes me for Custodes. It's amazing, and I'm just gonna be saying it's amazing over and over again.
So, I'm of two minds about this. One, Custodes Dreadnoughts are some of the coolest looking walker units within 40k. I do not care. They got some good looking Dreadnoughts, and you give me a walker with a sword and a shield or a spear. Oh, God.
And I can still shoot.
And you could still shoot. Oh. And the fact that, like, it goes back to making Custodes like that one-man army kind of a thing. Yep. That is an A+ in my book. Where I have issue with it is that, again, this is an army that's relying on getting hurt. Because your buffs only start proccing off when you take damage. Which
now, to be fair, Custodes, if you're gonna do this kind of thing with any army, Custodes is the army to do it with, because all of their models have really high wounds.
Yes. And then there's another problem. Custodes are already arguing and fighting about unit placement within the army. If you are taking dreadnoughts, a lot of your opponent will focus down those dreadnoughts fast. I have been on the receiving end of Custodes Dreadnoughts charges, and short of throwing like Abaddon at the problem, they are very hard to remove. So the problem comes down to, like, if your dreadnoughts die, this detachment suffers because it's only affecting your vehicles. Really only your walkers. And Custodes Dreadnoughts are fucking expensive to bring. So,
and to buy.
Yeah. So, it comes down to, like, yes, this does help out Custodes armored lists very heavily. But at the same time, like, it's already a fight for most slots in your army. And then, like...
Well, the thing is, all the other detachments for Custodes are very infantry focused.
Exactly.
So it's nice to have the option.
Yes.
Now.
It's why I want to put Custodes in low A.
It's a B tier.
I
would agree.
I think it's an A. I think it's an A because I'm looking at the store, and the Galatas Dreadnought, the Telemon, and the other Dreadnought are all sold out.
We have so many. The amount of variants that the Custodes has for Dreadnoughts is ridiculous.
As
and
well,
now I can actually use them.
By the way, I also wanted to put it in A because suck it, you toxic pieces of shit.
So something I want to point out, because you talked about before with Custodes winning previously. These new detachment rules probably are gonna make Custodes win again.
Probably.
If played correctly.
Doesn't it also really buff the bikes? Like, I saw someone talking about that. Like, this is actually really good for like the bikes, which haven't really had much. This
the jet bikes, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they do have the vehicle keyword.
Yeah,
it does help them.
As well, there is a Honored Fallen Aura ability. Anything within 6 that's a Custodes Infantry or Custodes Mountain unit gets to reroll hit rolls of 1.
Mm-hmm.
Which means Custodes are never missing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I hit on 2s.
Yeah.
So like, I looked at this detachment and I want to collect this as an army. I looked at this and I was like, yeah, this looks fun. I think this is A tier.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, with a lot of the other detachments, it helps your army. I think this is one of the few you can build an entirely new army around this detachment.
Yeah. Which, again, I may not like playing Custodes because, like, I'm the kind of person that needs to just have, like, a high body count on the table to stop giving a shit. Because, like, again, empathy overload. If my models start dying, I get really upset. Because I'm like, oh, I'm fucking up. I'm failing these models. But, yeah.
I take the if they die approach.
I do too. I just need more bodies to not care. Why do you think I play orcs? Next up, Chaos Knights, Dreaded Masters. Titanic Chaos Knight units from your army have the following abilities. While a friendly damned unit is within 9 of this unit, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1 and a reroll wound roll of 1. And if you have damned units from Codex Chaos Space Marines in the army, each time a Chaos Knight unit with this ability is selected to shoot or fight, it can make a Dark Sacrifice. If it does, select one damned unit within 6. That damned unit must take a leadership test. If passed, destroy D3 damned models. If failed, destroy D3 plus 3. Then select one of the following abilities for your Chaos Knight's weapons to have until the end of the phase. Lethal or sustained hits. You can include up, depending on the side of the game, you can include up to however many points of damned units from Codex Chaos Space Marines.
Yep.
But they can't be your warlord.
They cannot be your warlord. So,
which is...
This brings me back to 8th edition, where Imperial Knights brought guardsmen to basically hold objectives and be auxiliary.
And to farm command points.
But here, this throws it on its head, because you're using the cultists to essentially, like, do mass sacrifices to buff up your knights, which is a total chaos thing to do. And I love it for that aspect.
This is very fluffy, and I love it.
It's literally Dark Pacts from the Chaos Space Marine list for knights, but instead of you making the deal with the gods yourself, you're sacrificing your followers to do it.
Which, for Chaos Knights, what could be better? That makes so much sense for their army. Plus, damned units are not that expensive.
No, it's cultists, accursed cultists, blooded, and I think they have like they have a couple of characters that can go with them. It's like 3 units.
Yeah,
which someone I was watching when this on YouTube. I don't remember who. It said the quote, and I 100% agree with it. It's worthless chattel, but so useful.
And note their battle line. You can bring 400 points of cultists before you need to bring a character.
Yep.
That is 80 bodies on the table. 80.
If you love cultist army, this is for you.
And
so my only complaint about this, only one so far that I have with this, is cultists die kind of easily to certain armies.
Oh yeah.
So you have to make use of this you have to make use of this quickly. Otherwise, you lose the majority of your dam really quickly.
Another downside to this, by the way, that's 500 points of useless models that are only either going to be holding objectives or dying.
But that's like one night.
But, well, the thing is...
But that's one night less you take. This
is a great... a great game would be this an army built around this detachment against Custodes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now you have a ton of infantry to tie up the Custodes models.
Yeah.
Just target them.
And well, the knights pick them off.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good against the new Archangel detachment as well.
Yeah, you can. Do they not have a fire into Yeah, worthless chattel. You can literally fire into combat.
Yep.
With the damn.
So,
and
the thing
it also
is,
has a reinforcement stratagem.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, the issue is your dam can get knocked out really quickly, and they kind of take up space you could use elsewhere. The upside kind of makes the downside go away, because most of the detachments that just came out walk into this and go, "Oh, what am I supposed to do here? Die."
Unless your army's really good at killing knights and killing hordes, you're in trouble.
So to play Malal's advocate on this.
Malal's advocate.
The
had to say that.
Like, I know. I am aware from some of the communities I'm part of and that have been talking about this that Chaos Knights competitive players who make up the vast majority of the noise on whether like detachments are good or not are not as jazzed about this because like, well, it doesn't do anything to stop War Dog spam. That is like the only way they have figured they want to run Chaos Knights at the moment, seemingly. And
it does, though, in my opinion.
Well, their argument is it doesn't, and I'm not like, and what I'm saying is that the narrative is that it does not appear to do that, and also that there are people moaning, and this is a moan about all of the what I'm going to call the ally detachments that came out as part of Grotmas. Well, now I need to buy a second book, and like. Yes, technically, but I think the majority of there are ways to get round needing to buy the other book if you just want to try the detachment.
Wahapedia.
Or New Recruit, or like any of the list building services. But like, okay, from what I've seen, like from the competitive scene, they're saying this doesn't necessarily change. Like you wouldn't run this over the Index one at the moment, because the Index one is still better for that like War Dog spam meta that they've developed for Chaos Knights.
War Dogs aren't even that good.
That being said, I think this is cool as hell. I think this is way fucking cooler.
I don't agree with that sentiment at all, though, because like this is encouraged. Like, yeah, it's not getting rid of War Dogs, but like this is encouraging you to bring bigger, more damaging knights as well.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, of course, it's not getting rid of War Dogs. War Dogs are essential to Chaos Knights.
I believe their argument was like this doesn't like magically like make the Tyrant like way better for its points than it currently is. Essentially, it's like it was.
But it does though. So
I know, but it doesn't enough for them. I'm relaying the.
No,
the
he's
argument
relaying.
yeah. No, I understand that you also agree with our sentiment. I just
Hello.
From an outside perspective, who again doesn't have the ability to play the game on tabletop but watches it. When you watch an army of War Dogs versus playing it or playing against it, you notice that it's the same bland, boring tactic. You see War Dogs go out to the flank every single time. You'll never see any variation of it.
Yeah.
Where with this, you, as Boss pointed out, you have 80 bodies you can spread across whatever way you want. On top of that, because you're able to fire into them and through them, you can sit your two biggest units pretty much in your start zone.
And you want to know what a massive...
all of No Man.
So a massive problem that the Chaos Knight player I played against in the tournament that I played it in, he had no way of stopping me from teleporting onto the board. He had no way. Even he was running 6 War Dogs. 6. And he was not stopping my Terminators from teleporting in front of him and behind him and murdering everything he loved.
Yeah.
With the cultists, this stops your opponent from getting in behind you. This stops your opponent from swarming your vehicles and stopping your shooting.
Mhm.
This makes your army incredibly able to not only be melee focused, but have ranged firepower in the back, pumping out shots. This is a multi-layered army. And the fact that a lot of competitive players aren't seeing that tells me that these guys are only focused on, oh, well, War Dog spam's all I got. Well, you weren't winning with War Dogs anyway. So why don't you try something new?
I do occasionally wonder how much of that is I've spent $700 on War Dogs.
Yeah, it's the majority.
Yeah.
There's
a number of these detachments that when I looked at and I assessed it. Do any of you play Magic? Yeah, I would also be an idiot here.
No.
So are you familiar with the story of the Eldrazi Winter?
I am not informed.
Right. Okay, so it's famous back in probably over a decade ago now, or about a decade ago now.
It was 2013.
Was it 2013? Okay, so
yes,
it was over a decade ago. A set had a set called was it Rise of the Eldrazi, or was it
it was the Ravnica set.
Yeah. Was it? No, it wasn't. It was
or was it when they were
it was
getting
Zendikar.
ready to
It was,
go?
it was when,
Yes.
It was Zendikar. Anyway, there was irrelevant to the story.
Sorry.
There was a creature type in the game called Eldrazi, a type of a monster called the Eldrazi. It was a whole panoply of types of monsters. At one grand tournament, for the Gatewatch, thank you very much. At one of the grand tournaments, I think it was a couple of players, or it might have been just the one player.
I think there was 3 or 4.
Yeah, it was like a team of players had gone away in secret, and then they came to this grand tournament, one of the highest level plays in competitive Magic, with this deck made up of what everyone thought were just completely worthless draft chaff Eldrazi units. Just this like panoply, like I think it was like a 4 or 5 color deck, looked completely nonsensical on paper, and then they just started piloting this engine, and it was all like low rarity creatures, like uncommons and rares, not like all the mythic like level, like the most powerful Magic cards that like all the other decks were made out of. And these guys cleaned up at this tournament. And
so, to give you guys an idea, most tournament decks are upwards of, at the most expensive, $5 grand, bare minimum 800. These guys' deck was like 150.
If that, like I think like you could get like those cards for like $50.
Reminds me of the Pokemon Sucker Punch deck reveal. I don't remember the actual name of the deck, but it ran Electabuzz, it ran Hitmonlee, and it ran Scyther, and it was just like it just instantly knocked out any Pokemon back in like the first edition, and then years later,
so lost right now.
It's card game stuff. Years later, in the finals of one tournament, the 2 players agreed to do that format. But it turns out there was a counter to that deck all along, and you want to know what the fucking the 3 cards that surprised everybody from that deck? Lickitung, Mr. Mime, and fucking Jinx were the counter to that the entire time, and no one knew.
But like the point of what I'm getting to is that the like in the aftermath of this, like the Magic like online community went mental because this shouldn't happen. People were like, these cards must be busted, they need to be banned. It was like this whole like thing, and then a couple of them talked about it afterwards, and they were like, No, we just looked at what was strong in the meta, and just every part of the deck was built to counter that. Oh, like we just had like counter for that, counter for that, counter for that, and they had counters for enough stuff, and just stuff that was just efficient and just worked.
And chat, you want to know what's winning 40k tournaments right now? A, armies that have board control. B, armies that can close the gap very fast. And C, can I tie you down and hold objectives?
But my point with that is that I can sort of foresee, like, next year someone is going to do an Eldrazi Winter using one of these like detachments. No one's going to see this like army list comp coming, because it's like, but that doesn't play into any of the meta. No, that's the point. It just plays the game incredibly efficiently.
It's counter meta.
Yeah. And if there's any army in my bet would be that the one that's going to do it is this Chaos Knight detachment.
I can already foresee at least a top at like 1 or 2 tournaments with this kind of army. I can already see it. But moving on from Chaos Knights to Imperial Knights. And this one is not as good, but it's still fun. So
it's more fun. It's also very fluffy.
Yeah. So this one is, hey, let's mix Mechanicus and Knights. So, your main army's Imperial Knights. You get the Sacrosanct Pledge. In your command phase, select one model in this unit regains 1 lost wound. If this unit is within 3 of 1 or more friendly Tech Priest models, regain up to D3. If you have Mechanicus units within 6 inches of a knight, they get to reroll wound rolls of 1, and just being on the board, they get to reroll hit rolls of 1. You can include the following units: Tech Priest Dominus, Tech Priest Manipulus, Skitarii Marshal, Skitarii Ranger, Skitarii Vanguard. This is very fluffy. This makes sense for Mechanicus aligned Knight houses. It gives like that sort of feeling of Mechanicus being the engineers of 40k, where they're healing up vehicles, they're fixing them up while in middle of combat. That's really fun. That's really cool. The problem comes down to it's very limited on what you could bring for Mechanicus, and it heavily relies on Tech Priests being on the board. And if you're fighting a Knight army, you're most likely bringing stuff that is instantly dropping a Knight or 2 a turn. Which means that a lot of those Knights are not getting healed up because they're dead.
I mean, that could also be, you could say that's also the problem with the Chaos Knight one as well.
Yes.
This one for me feels very much like, hey, do you want to run that Mechanicus army you have from Horus Heresy that also has a whole bunch of knights in 40k? Now you can do that. Also, like, the Magos, like, being able to get, like, I think it's Lone Operative is one of the ones they can get. If they're, like, within... Yeah, they get Lone Operative if they're in range of the Knights. So they can't be killed, and then, like, something like your Cerastus or something like that. Like, the big ones. Because there's, like, a Cerastus, it's, like, big and shooty, as far as I remember.
Yeah.
It's one of the big Gatling cannon. Like... That thing regenerating wounds it makes me shiver.
Yeah,
because
like,
that thing's terrifying.
The potential is good. It's just like practicality at the end of the day, as well as like you're not bringing hard-hitting Skitarii units here.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks. And you want to know what I really think could have benefited from this? The Skitarii units for the Titans. Like those shield and spear guys, I think this would have been amazing for them.
Yeah. I mean, you can take those if you're low legends.
So,
like, you can just take those.
I see as you guys were saying, like, this is very mechanicus orientated, which makes sense fluff wise. But I think they were trying to do a similar thing with, as they were doing with the Chaos Knights, allowing you to bring more infantry from another army along with you. But there's not enough unit variety that it's letting you bring for it to be worth it.
Because remember, I said like 80 cultist bodies, but like that's just taking standard cultist mobs. It says damned units, so you can bring beastmen, you can bring traitor guardsmen, you can bring the dark commune, which is already a good enough model, like good enough unit, and you can bring like the warp infected cultists too. So
if you go into like the legends list, like damned units are like things like plague ogrins and stuff like that as well.
Yeah,
but
so like
with this,
way more variety.
It only allows you to bring five different types of units you can bring, which is very limiting.
Yeah, I do agree. I would like to see the secretary peltasts and the secretary. Is it a secretary hoplites? The ones with the shields?
Hoplites.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, and 2 out of the 5 you can bring are single unit models.
Yeah.
Like the Dominus and the Manipulus. Those are single unit models. You can't do anything with them, really, other than just stick them next to your knights and have them repairing the whole time.
Which, unless they have that lone operative ability, they're getting shot off the board. I do not care.
Yeah. Those tech priests, I'm going to instantly target. You take them out as fast as possible.
I mean, if I'm putting those on, I'm putting them in a bodyguard of something. But this is I think a low B, possibly high C, because it is very fluffy, but it's not.
I'm putting it in C.
Yeah,
I don't think it hits B.
That's fair.
So, up next is Grey Knight's Hallowed Ground. If you remember, the Thousand Suns attachment works similarly. But it has.
I just don't like Grey Knights as an army, so I am automatically biased for this.
This is a purifier-focused detachment. Ooh. Any units within the Hallowed Ground. Hallowed Ground works the same way as the Thousand Suns one does. Control no man's land, the Hallowed Ground goes there. Control your opponent's deployment zone, Hallowed Ground controls the entire board. Any Grey Knight model on the table rerolls hit rolls of 1. If the unit is a purifier unit and is wholly within the Hallowed Ground, you can reroll hit rolls instead.
Mm-hmm.
I want you all to know something right now. Grey Knights suffer because their melee potential sucks right now. With very little rerolls, their stats being all strength 6, AP 2, damage 2. Which sucks to be Grey Knights.
Which is really hilarious to me because every single Grey Knights unit has a force weapon.
Mm-hmm.
They should be good at melee, but they're not.
Another thing that also bothers me about the first Grey Knight detachment, and my brother can attest to this, is that if you are so unlucky to get a specific mission type, it literally cripples your army.
Yep.
Because delayed reserves, and what is Grey Knight's current detachment all about?
Teleport in.
Yeah,
Teleporting
fucking
in?
reserves.
Yeah.
You're hopping back and forth in reserves.
And delayed reserve sucks!
So, again, to bring the positivity a little bit back into this detachment was never going to fix those problems with Grey Knights, because those problems with Grey Knights are problems with datasheets and with units and with weapon consolidation.
Yeah.
Yep.
They were never going to put a detachment that says, oh, by the way, all Grey Knight units can also now take Nemesis Thunder Force Hammers again.
Which they should.
Like that is something that a codex will fix.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully.
But I did want to talk about the positives of this, because I think this is great. And Again, it is encouraging you to not spam Terminators. Any army that is encouraging you not to spam Terminators makes me really happy. Because, like, I love my Scarab Occult boys, but the fact that, like, the other detachment encourages me to not spam them is great. And the fact that, like, Purifiers are, like, the coolest part of Grey Knights, in my opinion, and I already think Grey Knights are kind of boring. But, like, Purifiers are that really cool Grey Knight unit that's like, nah, when shit's fucked, we're called in. And
like, I completely miscalled this in terms of like the build up to it. I thought this was going to be a Grey Knight hero detachment because I looked at the Grey Knight army list and I went, well, Purifiers will be in the Codex. So the fact that Purifiers as a detachment aren't in the Codex makes me very interested for the Grey Knights Codex in terms of what's in that.
As well, I am always a fan of like stratagems that's like, hey, if you're running a specific character, here's a bone for you. Like if you run Castellan Crow, on a 4+ enemy units suffer D3 mortal wounds. That's fun. That's fun. But like the entire point, like Grey Knights, their melee is very desperately needing anything that it can get, and being able to reroll hit rolls of 1, especially like being able to just reroll hit rolls for any unit within the hallowed ground or just Purifiers in general. God, they needed that. And like, what can you say about that at the end of the day? Like, they needed it.
Yeah.
This isn't, by the way, like, at the end of the day, like, this isn't helping the main problem with the army, i.e., when you played Grey Knights back in the older editions, the benefits of taking them was a extremely flexible melee system. One unit could be built entirely for murdering infantry, while another unit could be built entirely for murdering giant demons.
Yeah.
Now you don't got anything.
Now you don't got anything. You're stuck with bolters. You're stuck with the same Nemesis demon weapon, which sucks. But this helps a lot. It's not A tier. It's low B tier at the end of the day, but anything that helps Grey Knights at this point is a win in my book.
I think this is one to watch once their codex is out in terms of what their army rule and stuff changes to be, and to see if that affects them.
Agreed.
So, something I want to point out about this, though, is this was GW's answer to try and keep Thousand Suns kinda in line with the strength that they just received.
Yeah.
This
Totally
was
fair.
GW's answer. Which, in my opinion, is good because it, as you guys said, gives Grey Knights something to do now, instead of just kind of stand there and look pretty.
Yeah.
By
And,
just
like,
spamming terms.
And like I have faith that like the Grey Knights will get. I don't know if they'll get a huge number of models because I don't think they're going to get an update this edition. But
I heavily hope to get a model update, at least for like separate out the units a little bit. Like make Paladins and Purifiers their own units, not just like in the same kit.
Like I think they will get a model update, but I think they'll get it next edition.
You mean Terminators and Paladins?
Well, I want Purifiers to also be a little bit more unique.
I think this edition they'll get a brother captain model, similar to how the Custodians got a shield captain, which is like a dedicated shield captain model. I think the Grey Knights will get a brother captain in Terminator armor model. But I think they will see some rules changes this edition.
So
like,
now
I fully expect Paladins to go to being a 3-man unit.
Now moving on from Grey Knights, I think we have our first D tier detachment. Librarius Conclave. for the Space Marines, i.e., the hero detachment, everybody!
I would put it in F tier if I could.
Okay.
The only redeeming thing out of it is nothing.
So, for those that
I-
don't know, back in the day, psychers, whether they be like from any army, had to choose a psychic discipline. This brings that back for Space Marine librarians. You could choose biomancy, divination, pyromancy, telekinesis, or telepathy. And you choose it for each battle round, and all of your librarian units are affected by this, including any unit that they join. This does nothing for Space Marines. Especially with the change to Oath of Moment again, one of these things just isn't helping, period. Biomancy adds 2 to your movement. Divination allows hit rolls of 1 and wound rolls of 1. Pyromancy adds 1 to your penetration rolls of adds 1 to your armor penetration within 12. When they're targeting an enemy unit, that's within 12. Subtract 1 from the strength characteristics of enemy attacks, or just you can ignore any or all modifiers to your weapon skill, ballistic skill. Who is this helping? What? Librarians are already doing a good job with their 4-up and vulnerable save to the unit that they're with. What is this doing to help? This is taking away from every other unit in the army and only benefiting librarians and the units that you slap them into, which, by the way, is a very limited pool of models.
I don't see it as a benefit to librarians, honestly. Unless you're running something that's incredibly heavy on librarians, it's not a benefit.
There's a combo of abilities in this that terrifies me, but I don't know if the full detachment is worth that combo.
It's not.
It's a fun combo, and it's going to scare the crap out of people like, first time they encounter it.
For those that want to run Blood Raven's first company, this is for you. But
yeah.
Much like Dawn of War 3, this fell flat on its face.
Much like Blood Ravens in general, this is not gonna be fun for you.
To add a bit of positivity to it, I have a friend who's looking at, I believe, running a librarian with a squad of 10 a squad of 10 Sternguard veterans in a drop pod with the, I believe it's the pyromancy discipline and the fusillade enhancement, which basically is teleport and delete unit.
Yep. It has the one trick pony, but then it does nothing. All right, now on to the detachment that proved to be my darling, my favorite detachment out of all of these.
I do like this.
Creations of Bile. They brought it back from 9th edition, and I'm so fucking happy. At the start of the battle, select which augmentations are active for Heretic Astartes infantry models, excluding Damned. Until the end of the battle. To do so, either select one from the list below, or randomly determine 2 by rolling 2d6. If Fabius Bile is your warlord, you can re-roll those dice. Duplications have no additional effect. The effects are: add 1 to your attacks, add 2 to your movement, improve weapon skill characteristics by 1, improve toughness by 1, add 1 to strength, or improve ballistic skill.
Correction, for the improved weapons by 1, it's melee weapons only.
Yeah, melee weapons only. But
which is still horrifying.
It is.
I want you all to know that the detachment that Chaos ran back in 9th edition when its codex came out
Horrifying.
was Creations
So
of
scared.
Bile.
I was so scared.
This is much better in my opinion. This is a lot more fun. It's not just like add 1 to your movement, add 1 to your charge, and add 1 to your toughness. Like make your fucking Marines terrifying. This army still wants to run the units from that list, which is Possessed, Terminators, Chosen, all that kind of stuff. But, like, imagine Abaddon with, an AP5 Drachnien.
Could you not?
Or adding 1 to his attack characteristics. And imagine him now with a Terminator
don't.
unit. This
Let's
is
give that Terminator unit 2-inch extra movement.
Mhm.
Yeah. God, that's horrifying.
Now, granted, like, you don't have to run Fabius.
I want
But I
everyone
wanna
to
run
be
him.
aware that that's going. You
cut
don't
out.
have to run him, but everyone with a brain is gonna run him.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't mean that meanly. I want to specify that.
I also
don't
just
mean
want
that
to.
meanly.
I just want to point out there is a broken strategy in here. Delayed mutations and diabolic regeneration. Delayed mutations, 2 command points.
No.
You can choose an additional effect for a unit.
Wait,
And
hold
they
on,
take
it's only 2 command points.
only 2.
But they
And-
take D3 mortal wounds.
But then there's diabolic regeneration. 1 destroyed model, excluding characters, is returned to your unit. If your unit is battle line, D3 models are returned. I lose nothing. The strategy. I gain everything, I lose nothing.
It doesn't matter. They come back with mortal wounds at that point.
Mm-hmm. Also,
Yeah,
auto
you basically-
stimulates.
I was gonna say you basically have to wipe the unit off the board between the use of deadly mutations and diabolic regeneration.
Also, like, this is one you're
Mm.
going to be seeing tons of possessed units being spammed because charge in which a turn and you get to charge in a turn in which you advanced.
Something I want to point out in this. The reason why I'm disgusted by 2 command points is because that is fairly cheap for something like that.
Oh, yeah.
That is incredibly cheap. And the biggest issue is Chaos loves cheap bullshit. And if you have Fabius Bile on the board, this now becomes, do I run out of command points? Probably not. Am I gonna push that limit? Yes. Every single turn.
Is this just S tier? Because it's like a win on
This-
fluff and a win on rules.
You literally
Yes.
would have to perfect wipe every unit in order to
Yeah.
make this stratagem useless.
I
And Chaos Knights is the only group I see capable of doing that right now.
love this detachment. I love everything in it. I can't find a downside with this detachment at
Hey.
fucking all.
I'm gonna fucking hate fighting against this
I
detachment.
would
Understandable.
It also
So I would say Dark Angels beat this detachment. However, comma, it's chaos, so you're able to just throw Monstra, the
I
Deathwing, and Ravenwing combo doesn't work because it's
Did-
monsters.
didn't even get into the enhancements. You can give a 12-inch aura of you can't deep strike here, motherfucker. Helm of
You're-
the All-Seeing.
Wait,
Your
you
Thousand Suns just lost.
My Thousand
to
Suns
this.
just got
you
fucked.
can whoever your Chaos Lord is, you can add 1 more wound to him and give him 5 up, feel no pain.
Okay, Fabius Bile doesn't need that. Hold on. Wait
Enhancements.
a second.
Fabius
Hold
can't
on.
take Fabius can't take enhancements.
Okay.
But you
Why
put that
Thank
on a
you.
Terminator
Society
Lord.
later.
You put that on a Terminator Lord. Ooh. You can also add 1 to the damage characteristics of melee weapons by the bear each time the bear makes a melee attack. all the enhancements only affect characters, but like,
Would Avatar?
No, there's two. No, they all affect the Astartes infantry for the enhancements.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
no, the surgical precision. The bear's melee weapons have precision. Chaos Lord model only. Add 1 to the bear's wound characteristics, and the bearer has a 5+ feel no pain. The bear, you measure from the bearer for Helm of All Seeing. And Heretic Astartes infantry model, excluding damned. Add 1 to the damage characteristics of melee weapons equipped by the bearer. This
Wait,
is the
doesn't
only...
that mean you could Corn Berserker?
Yes. Yes. But if this is the only downside, that their enhancements only affect the characters that they're on, this is not... This is like high A S tier. Like, this is probably the best detachment that came out of all of them, arguably.
Yeah.
You so far the only group we have that
too.
can the only group we have that could technically full clear this before you're able to start your shenanigans is Chaos Knights.
Will, you wanted to say something?
No, I disagree. It's the best detachment, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Drukhari with the Callous Contemption. At the start of the battle, Drukhari units from your army are winning the wager. Each time a Drukhari unit from your army destroys an enemy unit, Drukhari units from your army are winning the wager. Wait, what?
It's really badly written. It's easier to summarize than actually read out.
Right.
The army wants you to take Drukhari and Harlequin's units. They are having a wager. You start the battle with the Drukhari winning the wager. Every time a Drukhari unit kills something, they are winning. Every time a Harlequin's unit kills something, they are winning. And various effects throughout the game affect depending on whether the Harlequins or the Drukhari are winning.
Yeah, so basically if your units start dying, either or are losing. So each time a Drukhari or Harlequin's model from your army makes an attack, if that model's unit is losing the wager, reroll a hit roll of 1 and reroll a wound roll of 1.
Yeah. So they get blue shell.
Yeah.
Yep. This detachment's all about re-rolling, which for Harlequins and Drukhari, they are gonna love this.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
This does get like a little bit confusing, which does take it down a notch for me. Is it like, what the fuck am I reading, kind of a thing?
Mm.
But like,
it took me probably about like 3 times reading this to like get what they were trying to say.
I looked at this and I was like, this detachment is structured like a puzzle box.
Yeah.
Which
is thematic.
I was going to say, for a certain type of player, they are going to fucking love this.
For your average player, however,
this is a combo deck. This is a combo army. This is like very high finesse.
This is a blue and black deck in my opinion for Magic.
Yeah, this is like an eggs combo deck happening here, and this is like it's too complicated for me to run, but I can look at this and go, yeah, the type of person that's gonna love this is gonna love this.
Yeah, I can't run this. This is complicated for me.
This is something where you need to stay on top. Like, you need to have like a scoreboard. Like, this is the kind of thing where like it's that one friend.
Which you could totally do.
This is your one friend that loves to be a shit disturber. Like, they play these armies to fuck with you.
Like, if I ever build this army and run this attachment, I'm building a literal scoreboard with two models keeping score, and I'm writing the scores on as like the game progresses.
Which again, for Drukhari and Harlequins is very thematic.
Mm-hmm.
Which the stratagems in here, declare a charge in which they advanced, always a good one. Lethal hits or sustained hits, that's great. Adding 1 to your wager. They can fight on death, scintillating tempo, advance or fall back. or set it up as fuck. To the end of your turn, enemy units cannot use Overwatch. That's great,
Yeah,
especially for
that's
Harlequins.
Yeah.
Murderous Circus. Until the end of the phase, any attacks targeting them are -1 to hit, which is good. And you can have a normal move of up to 6. Which, like...
Yeah, Scintillating Tempo I love because like, you can't be overwatched. That's straight up stolen from boarding actions where they also have that ability. Like that's like a thing that's like a stratagem in boarding actions that your unit just can't be overwatched this turn.
And Conductor of Torment adds pain tokens to your army, which Drukhari desperately need.
Yes.
So this is a B tier because it's just fucking funny. It's...
Like the person playing this is going to be cackling the entire time.
Yeah, they're
the person playing against it is going to be wishing to dear gods they knew how to
They
count.
want to die. People, like...
Which is... It's just like the biggest flavor win.
Which, like, for... You know what? This works with Drukhari, and it works with Harlequins. Harlequins are playing a joke on you, and Drukhari are laughing at your misery. That's great. That's
valid.
B tier.
I see people taking a lot of death gestures.
Yeah.
With this attack.
Well, 3 death gestures.
We had a player here. We had a player here back in the day. He passed away a while ago. I know he would have loved that detachment.
This weirdly feels like a detachment. If I just think about it from like a gameplay perspective, I could see like 1 or 2 players running this detachment, absolutely mastering it, and taking it to like very high levels of competitive play because they've just got it like honed in that amount. And then people seeing that and go, "Oh, I should jump on that detachment." Them jumping on the detachment, not understanding how to play it, and its win rate just tanking.
It's Yu-Gi-Oh! Where people are trying to pilot decks they don't understand.
Yeah, that's like every competitive card game as well. Like...
All right,
it's like showing up to your friend's house and you've never played Yu-Gi-Oh before, and they just hand you a deck.
My brother loves this detachment. This is my brother's favorite, I think.
Which one?
The Eldar one.
Oh yeah, well I love my hang.
So Eldar got Skilled Crews. Ranged weapons equipped by Eldari vehicle models from your army have Assault, and you can reroll advanced rolls made for Eldari vehicle fly units from your army.
Which is like all of them, other than like Wraith Lords.
Walkers too.
Warwalkers, yeah, sorry.
Actually, Wraith units don't benefit from this at all, because Wraiths are not vehicles, they're monsters.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yep.
But-
It's why technically the Dark Angels can get an advantage over Eldar
Also,
because of it.
just want to say something quick here. This did not exclude Titanic units.
Nope.
No Wraith. So the Scorpion Grav 2 heavy tank is included in that.
So not only can my brother's Titanic Titan Killer advance and re-roll its advanced roll, but it can still shoot.
And if you don't know so this is what its main weapon does, because I just pulled up my list. It's called the Twin Scorpion Pulsar. It's not as strong as it used to be, because back when I first got it in 8th edition, it used to be damage 4, and if you wounded someone on a wound roll of a 6, it'd be damage 6. But now it is 60-inch range, 6 attacks, ballistic skill of a 3-up, strength 18, AP minus 3, damage 5, twin linked. So I'm re-rolling 1s, and with the fact that I can just run this thing across the board without having to worry about shit anymore.
Oh, that's not even the worst part of it. That's not even the worst part of it.
Yeah, also, if I shoot a anything that has the Deadly Demise ability, when you roll your Deadly Demise, it's on a 4-up instead of a 6.
Now hold on. I'm gonna add on to this pain. By the way, this is for every Eldar vehicle. There's a stratagem that gives them a 5+ feel no pain against mortal wounds. An enhancement that is guide for tanks. So an Eldari Psyker points at that tank, add 1 to the hit roll. If a Eldari model in your command phase is within range of an objective marker you control, on a D6, on a 3+, you gain a command point. You can restore while the bear Eldari Psyker, while the bear is within 3 of a vehicle, they have lone operative. In your command phase, you can select 1 friendly Eldari vehicle within 3. That unit regains D3 lost wounds. The tank. And you can deep strike your tank. You can just deep strike it.
Yeah, so imagine you're sitting there and you're running 3 fire prisms. And you don't want them to get shot on the board, and there's not enough like line of sight blocking stuff, so you can just go ahead and deep strike your tanks in later. But you can also deep strike them in behind 2 of them behind a blockable cover, so they can't see anything. But you can have another fire prism just kind of peeked out, and the other 2 can shoot through that one. Because they have this thing called linked fire on their fire prism.
And the other thing that's got to be sort of assessed in regards to this detachment is, yeah, we know the Eldari army rule is changing, and it's changing to being a movement-based one.
Which, it gets worse.
Mm-hmm.
Vectored engines, they can pull out of combat and shoot. Anti-grav repulsion, subtract 2 from charge rolls made against them. Reroll 1 damage roll, 1 hit roll, 1 wound roll. This made Eldar 1,000 times more annoying.
To be honest, I feel like this. I feel like this is an S tier detachment.
This is S tier.
What's the quote from Dawn of War 1? It's like fighting the Eldar is like fighting mist or something like that.
Fighting
like,
smoke, yeah.
It's fighting smoke, yes. Like,
holy shit, Eldar, you did not need to pop off this hard. I still think Creations of Bile is better, because at the end of the day, Eldar vehicles are still not as tanky as you think they'd be. They hit hard, but like
at the moment, this detachment is running with like Strands of Fate as well.
Yeah.
Like at the moment, this is running with bank 6s.
Yep.
Um,
So like S
Which,
tier.
with the rule changes coming, this is
This could be devastating, or it could absolutely hamper this thing. So we'll have to see.
Yeah.
and a big thing everyone needs to remember is this means that depending upon the rule changes, they could either come out even or still on top of the army charts, or they could arguably be one of the weakest armies.
Yep.
I am going to go out on a limb and say that they will be mid-tier for about 6 months while people get used to playing them again, and then they will all... Eldar have, like, always been... Like, as long as I've been playing 40k, like, Eldar have always been, like, a top 3rd army.
They're just one of those armies.
It's because it's that thing again. It's because the people that play them lock into how to play them. Like, you have to want to play Eldar to play Eldar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, moving on from Eldar, we are at Orcs now. So, hey, Orcs! You ever wanted to be Imperial Guard?
You and
This
your
is why I wanted
with this attachment.
This is why I wanted to talk about orcs.
Fuck your storm boys.
So, for you orc players, A, you're about to get a lot funnier. B, you're about to hate life.
So,
No.
how this works
Because...
is...
Alright.
How this detachment works is, for every war boss, mech, and boss snake rot that you're running, You can select 1 or 2 tactics and then point at an orc unit and give them an order. If you choose to give them 2 tactics, they have to do a leadership check. If they fail, they take D3 mortal wounds. It doesn't say, though, that, it doesn't say if the effect takes effect or not. I assume it still goes through. They just take wounds. Because they're stupid.
That's the reason I said you're gonna hate yourselves. Is because you're gonna be making that roll all the damn time. Because why wouldn't you?
Also, for your Storm Boys lovers out there, they are now battle line with this detachment.
Yep. So here's what you can order your boys to do. Well, your army to do. Reroll charge rolls. Add 1 to the strength characteristics to melee weapons. Give them the benefit of cover against ranged attacks. And infantry and mounted units, you get to add 1 to the hit roll when you make a ranged attack.
It's not just the benefit of the cover, it's also stealth.
Also stealth, my bad.
Except Mega Knobs can't take the stealth.
Yeah.
Excluding Mega Knobs, which makes sense.
Thank
They're loud
God.
and clunky. So,
Thank God Mega Knobs can't take stealth.
this is my dream as an orc player. I love blood axes. I love blood axes. I love orcs being tactical because it's the kind of like they're sharks. They'll keep swimming from different directions to get you. I love this stupid fucking thing.
I
Fuck
absolutely
this detachment and everything it stands for.
I absolutely love this attachment from both a how it works mechanically, like giving orcs like an orky version of guard orders is just chef kiss.
Which
But
I want to clarify. I say fuck this detachment from a source of love. This is
Yeah.
going to be so much fun to fight against.
I love this thing so
but
much.
I
Orc
also
players are gonna be shooting themselves in the foot, but
Mhm.
while smiling at you the entire time.
Yeah,
I
this is
absolutely
great.
Let Will
I
As
say.
you're
love it
trying to
from
say,
a-
Will.
I love it from a fluff perspective of if you make the plan too complicated, the boys will get confused and hurt themselves.
It hurt
It
itself in its confusion.
Confusion. We were on the same fucking page with that.
Like, the enhancements are great too. You can have a war boss join a commando unit. You can have Big Mechs in mega armor or Big Mech with shock attack gun. They can reroll hit rolls with flash skits, which is great. After both players are deployed, you can set up guys in strategic reserves. Orc mounted units, you can issue tactics to them within 18 instead of 6 because they're fast, which is great because it's just them throwing a grot at them. It's great.
You can give Storm Boys Hammer of Wrath that Assault Marines get. Crushing Descent. It's Hammer of Wrath that the Space Marine and Assault Marines get.
Yep. There's also Fight Propa, which gives them sustained hits or lethal hits, which orcs. Oh, you give me exploding 6s with orc boys. I'm killing anything I'm touching. My brother can attest that when I get sustained hits, I'm not missing.
For some reason, when he plays orcs, he goes in hitting on 5s and 6s. He puts out 40 shots and gets 60 hits.
Like every single orc player I've talked to about this has looked at this and went, "I love this."
This is
Like,
an S tier detachment.
I've seen so many people that are like, I don't even play blood axes, and I think this is cool. Or like my mate's like, I'm like all in on snake bites, but like this is sweet. And like
You can redeploy your commandos and Storm Boys as well. Like, oh my god, this is great.
I fucking love this detachment. My wife took my orcs for herself, but like,
Take 'em back.
if I'm playing in a tournament and I'm playing orcs, you can bet your ass I am spamming the shit out of characters. You can bet your ass.
Boss is going to be the very physical identity of how it hurts, but it's so good.
Oh, it hurts so fucking good, buddy. Alright, moving on from this. Astra Militarum Bridgehead Strike, i.e. Tempestus Scions detachment.
Yes.
So, Tempestus Scions. Astra Militarum Infantry, only the best. You reroll hit rolls of 1 with ranged attacks. Imperial Guard, love that. If you are Militarum Tempestus, not only do you get the only the best, so reroll hit rolls of 1, you get to model some of your army, make a ranged attack in a turn which was set up on the battlefield from reserves, or disembark from a transport, add 1 to the wound roll. All Militarum Tempestus units get to add 1 to their objective control.
Yep.
This is your Militarum Tempestus army. This means you want to be taking Talroxes, Valkyries, Tempestus Scions, all that kind of stuff.
Tempestus Acolons, the new ones.
Yep.
And if your officer is your warlord, the Scions get battle line, which is great.
Mm-hmm. Which really, really helps Scions.
Yes.
You can still take your tanks. Your tanks are still good by themselves. Like a Rogel Dorn is still a massive gun platform in a guard army.
Yep. This isn't the best though, because like Militarum Tempestus are just slightly better guardsmen. But this gives Imperial Guard something that isn't just Basilisk spam. You hear me?
It gives them a slightly more elite army.
This is gonna be very useful with a lot of Valkyrie deployments.
Oh yeah. And
we were sort of talking about earlier on as well. This is the detachment that I want to be like allying in like assassins to, or allying in like inquisitors and their retinue and stuff. From the Agents books, like now I have an Inquisitorial Stormtrooper army.
This allows Imperial Guard to be something that they're not usually, and that's mobile. This allows Imperial Guard to be a heavily mobile force again, which I always appreciate.
Like I have specifically a heavily mobile, like elite, like more elite force.
Yeah, because if you watch that finals between Custodes and Imperial Guard were hardly moving during that game at all.
Yeah, it's
it was extremely sad and boring to see. It isn't great, like I said. It's B tier at best, but like, it gives you something to fucking do.
I think it's high B tier. I think it's near the top. Like it could be like. If you really flavor this up like from a like this is a really good, because we sort of know what, because they've already announced like what the detachments are going to be in the guard book are, and like we knew that Scions weren't one of them. This gives you that Scions attack. This gives you the Stormtrooper detachment. And like we know that they're getting mechanized infantry as a detachment.
Oh yeah.
In the book. But that will be mechanized horde infantry. Whereas this is like mobile elite troops. Plus like Aquilons and Scions are just sweet. Like their rules are like really good. And they do things in the game that like, for people that don't like Space Marines, like don't like that like Space Marine style of play, I think they're a much more like easy sell for a lot of people. I'd argue they're low A, but like I'll accept like high B on them.
Yeah. So the Chaos Demons won because Chaos Demons are next. They got 4 detachments, each one for a different Chaos God. Nurgle was Battle Shock heavy. Khorne was very much charge in, hit the fuck as hard as possible. Well, like surge moves, you know, like get shot at, surge move. Charge it, like move into combat. That's great. Slaanesh was pull out of combat, charge, and just like, you know, aim for the weak point. Where's
Tzeentch's mess with your opponent.
Yeah, Tzeentch's mess with your opponent. All of these are very fluff heavy, and they all get a solid A from me.
Yeah, I'd agree. Like as on aggregate, I'd say they're probably an A. There's maybe like the Slanesh one is probably the weakest because it relies on Slanesh units surviving.
I'd argue the Nurgle one was the weakest, but if Nurgle was the weakest with its sustainability of stratagems, holy shit.
Yeah.
So this is one of those things where if you're into demons, it's a great time to be into demons. But if you're not, well, I don't think you're gonna enjoy the new rules so much.
Yeah.
This is very much like couched with the fact that like this is probably a swan song for demons as solo armies in 40k.
As well as to point out, demons get their kicks off of mixing and matching. These detachments are heavily encouraging you to go mono.
Yeah.
So
which is hard.
It's extremely
Incredibly
hard. Because the advantage of Chaos Demons is that you take them together to cover each other's weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
But these ones are strictly demanding that you take them pure. So that means if you're playing Khorne, you are going to be lacking in a lot of speed, you're going to be lacking in a lot of toughness, and you have barely any range to speak of. While for like something like Tzeentch, good luck in melee combat. Because you are the nerd and you are getting wedgied. But
that being said, look at this again in a year's time once they've been put into the various Legion codexes and see where you are then.
Yeah. So moving on, Leagues of Votann. This is a detachment that I think they desperately needed. Each time a League of Votann model from your army makes an attack with a weapon, excluding blast, that targets the closest eligible target or a target that is within engagement range of that model's unit, you reroll hit rolls of 1, and if your unit is a call in your Hearthguard or Uthar the Destined, you improve the armor penetration by 1.
Yep.
Snipers everywhere.
Yep. This is a detachment that these guys desperately needed.
Yeah.
I don't play them, so anyone who does, please speak.
Okay, I do. Right. You are correct. We desperately needed this detachment. Here's the problem with it, as things stand. As things stand, the problem... This is a very fluffy, very good detachment in terms of giving us the, like, elite Kingsguard style, essentially first company in like a Terminator, like it's essentially a Terminator detachment for the Leagues of Votann, with our Hearthguard filling in that Terminator role. Which, yes, is a very fun way for us to play. It's more melee orientated, which our army isn't at the moment. It's very ranged combat as an army. The problem with it is our army rule. Because our army rule is highly parasitic.
Yeah, you want to be dying in order to get those off.
Judgment tokens, as a mechanic, the consensus and the rumors is that judgment tokens will be going away as the League of Votann army rule, and it will be a detachment rule. As things stand, this detachment does not do enough to offset the fact that our ability to generate the thing that makes our army work and that our army really does rely on goes away, basically, from compared to the index detachment, which is a shame because I love this detachment. If judgment tokens weren't the thing that you need as a Leagues of Votann player, this detachment would be great. As it stands, I think it's like C tier, unfortunately, and which hurts me because it's like so the way I want them to play. Because like it's like mid C. So like, the problem is that the Leagues of Votann don't play like dwarfs. Like, you say like dwarves in Total War or in Warhammer Fantasy or in anything like that, or even in like AOS, dwarves are tough, resilient, take a hit, can deal back, and can also shoot. You know, they're that unflinching wall. Like they take a position, they hold it, and they do not give that position.
And they're very slow.
Yep.
Well, yes, they can be, but like,
I mean
they're
that
very,
in a good way.
yeah, they're very dangerous over short distances. Votann in 40k are a very fast, objective grabbing, nimble, shoot and scoot style army. They play like you think Eldar should play. Bizarrely. And part of that,
Eldar.
and part of that is that the army rule is just like, it is fundamentally a parasitic mechanic. Like, it warps the rest of the army around it, because the way the primary detachment works, like you're choosing a unit to be your primary focus. You're killing that, grabbing a whole load of command points, and then using those to like shift your army around the battlefield to grab objectives and take secondaries. It's actually very, very good at scoring secondaries. This doesn't do enough to offset the lack of that initial judgment token generation, essentially. Because that's also like the thing that makes like your engine work. That being said, if our army rule changes when our codex comes out, I will play this detachment. I will probably play this detachment now, but I do not expect it to do particularly well. Which is a shame.
But moving on. After this, we only have 6 more detachments. The final day detachment, Psionic Parasitism. So, this is the Gene Stealer Cult detachment. It is another allied detachment. At the end of your movement phase, for each Tyranid Synapse unit from your army, you can select one friendly Gene Stealer Cult unit. Pure Strain and Patriarchs are excluded. And one friendly Tyranid unit within 9 and visible to the Synapse unit. If you do, the Gene Stealer Cult's unit from your army suffers D3 plus 1 mortal wounds, and one model unselected Tyranids unit regains up to that many lost wounds. Until the start of your next movement phase. Each time the model in the selected Tyranid unit makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. If you have Tyranids in your army, Catalyst, Aura. While a Gene Stealer Cult unit is within 6, you add 1 to their hit rolls. But there is a caveat to this. You can only bring Tyranid Vanguard units. There are units within the army that have Vanguard in them. This is supposed to be the first wave of a Tyranid invasion.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think this is okay. This is very fluffy. The Gene Stealer cults are helping the Tyranids in their first wave. So you won't be seeing a lot of, like, big bugs. This is mostly, like, warriors, gaunts, that kind of stuff. The heavier stuff will need to be brought in by the Gene Stealer cults to make up for it. But this is, like, the direct opposite of Brood Brothers, which I like.
Yeah. I will point out the Winged Hive Tyrant has Vanguard Invader.
Yep.
So you get one big thing.
You do get one big thing. But at the end of the day, this is more of like a fluffy Tyranid army at the end of the day for like Gene Stealer cults. It does have its dangers, like with buffing up, because the Catalyst does affect Gene Stealer cult Pure Strain Tyranids. Pure Strain Gene Stealer. So adding 1 to the hit for Gene Stealers is terrifying. But other than that, this is a C tier, like above Dark Angels, above Leagues of Votann, but it's C.
This is one of those niche.
I would argue it's B.
The thing holding it back from B though is you have so few larger units that you can actually make use of.
I mean, it's what? It's Winged Hive Tyrant, Trigon, I think, has Vanguard Invader. All the flying stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like other than the harpies, the winged prime. Your 3 types of lictors, your Von Ryan's leapers. It's not bad. Like
It is, but
No.
then you remember the main Gene Stealer cult ability, which is basically like endless reinforcements and stuff. And Tyranids do not benefit from that at all, which
No.
just sucks. And you're already hampering yourself by taking away Gene Stealer cult units that do benefit from keep coming back. And it's just, I see the potential, but it's very much a parasite onto a Gene Stealer cult army.
she's very fluffy.
Very fluffy.
Yeah.
All right.
Really
It's just
but-
if you actually want to run it
It's as
outside of
fluffy
fluff,
as
it's
a
a
Pomeranian?
niche. It's as fluffy as a poodle.
That's
So-
too fluffy.
we reach another D tier, and it sucks because this came on the back end of the nerfs to the Sisters of Battle.
Oh, this was for Battle 1. Oh.
Champions of Faith! In your command phase, you can discard up to 3 of your miracle dice. For each discarded, you can select 1 Sisters unit from your army. Until the end, they become righteous. While a unit is righteous, they add 1 to their movement, improve their leadership by 1, and if they're a Sacrosanct squad or a Paragon War unit squad, they add 1 to their weapon and ballistic skills.
Right.
So, I have something to say. For 3 dice, I already don't like Sisters of Battle as an army. I love their fluff, but just their army I don't really like. But the changes made to Sisters, your miracle dice are now precious resource.
Yeah.
With it, and now having to give up 3 of them for this, it's not worth it, in my opinion.
This, and it all it does is give you 1 extra movement in leadership for the majority of your army, unless you are heavily invested in Paragons and Sacrosaints. This is not worth it.
Yeah.
Which if you're heavily invested in Paragons and Sacrosaints, you're already on a thin line to hell.
Exactly.
I look at this and I'm just like, this was designed. This detachment is like, it's fine. It's probably like B level, but then they got the nerf and it's like it just can't work. It's just not functional.
It's solely the nerf that fucked
it's
this
not
in
the
the ass.
it's not the detachment's fault. The detachment is fine. The detachment's probably balanced.
And like
Like
because Sisters generated a miracle die every command phase, and generated a miracle die every time a unit died.
yeah, I genuinely would be interested in hearing from GW on what grounds they made that change to Sisters, because it did not seem to be reflected in the competitive results.
I would not be surprised if this detachment was being worked on before they made the change to Sisters.
Oh, 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
this is designed to work with the previous version.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the stratagems are. It doesn't matter what the enhancements are. This is demanding too much from a Sisters army that is now hemorrhaging points that it needs.
If they had brought it down to 1 miracle dice, it'd make it a bit more palatable.
Like that.
They might have to change it now.
They
Like-
probably will.
But like Sisters, they don't want to be relying on melee all that much. They want to keep like Sacrosaints units are good. They're tanky. And Paragon suits, like, you take Morven Vol for a reason. But this is too heavily focused on them. And
Also, you have the. Sorry.
it does nothing for the rest of the army.
what I was going to say is also you have an army which is built around sacrosancts, which are the Nundams, as far as I'm aware. Yes.
What?
The Celestian sacrosancts are the ones in the warsuits, right?
No, Paragon warsuits are the ones in warsuits. Sacrosancts
Okay,
are
sorry.
shields, halberds, or maces.
Okay, then then ignore me, because I was like, isn't this like the one where it's weirdly like you have a whole bunch of enhancements, but they can't actually go into any of the units that like will benefit like from the detachment or something. And
Yeah.
it's not the case if sacrosancts can have leaders. Ignore me.
It's painful.
I see what they were doing. That they're kind of being. They kind of wanted this to be kind of like the Custodes, where you're focusing like with the Custodes on vehicles. But with the Custodes, I still have infantry to back that up.
Yeah.
With this, you don't have that in between to still work with.
Well, they wanted a close combat detachment that wasn't reliant on Repentia and Penitent engines.
Yeah.
Like that's like, which yes is actually like a slant list for the sisters, which would be cool. But the problem is that you just gutted their main army rule for seemingly no reason.
Yeah.
Yep. But moving
This
on.
could have been a really good detachment. It's again as we said earlier,
it got fucked. It got fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so something
Oh, I'm
that I
missing
want to
Tau.
point out about the sister unit too is as much as they were boned in the Miracle Dice department, even if the nerf hadn't happened, with all the current changes that everyone's seeing with the detachments, specifically like Dark Angels and whatnot, they don't want to get up close with anyone with the current detachments. They really don't. So it's not healthy anyways.
Yeah.
Because as we talked about earlier, I brought up, objective holding for Dark Angels is now going to be their best friend, especially if anything gets in close. Sisters would have just been going into the meat grinder at that point by charging in Terminators and jump packs.
Yep. But anyway, moving on to Blood Angels, my least favorite army in 40k. This one is what I like to call the Death Star army, which that made me laugh reading all of this. Until the start of the first battle round, select 2 of the angelic legacy abilities listed below. Until the end of the battle, those angelic legacy abilities are active and their effects apply to all Adeptus Astartes character units from your army. Note, these also affect the units that they are inside of as well. So, you get the choice of a unit being able to shoot and charge in a turn in which it fell back, re-rolling hit rolls of 1 and wound rolls of 1 for melee. Wait, no, models in this make an attack. Sorry. And you can re-roll advance and charge rolls. Chat. This is the Death Company fucking detachment. This is Death Company. I don't care.
Yep.
I mean, they already have one, but this is also Death Company. It's also
this was made to go along with their new box.
Yeah.
Their box set.
100%.
100%.
This is very so you want I do actually like the focus of this, which is like, so you want to take all the cool Blood Angels special characters, because we've got a bunch of them that are like named. Do you want to run Dante and Mephiston and
Corbulo,
Astaroth? Lamartes, Astaroth? You want to run all the heroes? Cool, you can do that now. And I kind of like them having that,
Yeah.
They have their codex now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
they,
And they lost
they
their
can
Labyrinth
have
Dreadnought.
fun now, but at the same time, it's...
I can see this being competitive.
I
It's
think
going
it's-
to feel repetitive the same way that we talked about Warhounds feels for Chaos Knights.
Yeah.
It's gonna get very repetitive. You're gonna see the same thing over and over again. That's arguably the biggest downside.
This feels to me like a low A,
Yeah, this.
honestly.
I'd argue more of a B because it has a focus on
high
only
B.
characters.
Yeah, high B.
Under Death Guard, like Death Guard was our B tier, like the
Yeah.
top of B tier, like the gateway to A. But
Yeah,
like,
fair.
holy shit, like this is just Death Star the army, and that makes me laugh. Plus, like we have Troubling Visions, which is like the start of Horus. It's funny. But moving on. So next up was Tau Empire Auxiliary Cadre.
Oh jeez. Oh.
This is the one where it's like, hey, start running Kroot, start running Vespid with your Tau.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, it's as a Tau player, even the Kroot's detachment, it's very finicky to try and play and do decent with. With this, it actually gives you that variety where the Kroot is there for actual support.
Yep.
With
So
the Vespid.
I'm gonna straight up say it. This should be in the codex.
this should be in
It
the
should have
codex.
been. It
Yeah.
should have been instead of the Kroot detachment. This is what it should have been.
No,
So-
I'd say you should have had both. This should be the default way of playing Tau. I'm sorry. Like,
It really should, because this is so how it works is that it basically like works like the allied detachments, but this is pure Tau. So for any enemy units within 9 of a while an enemy unit is within 9 of and visible to this unit, each time a ranged attack made by a friendly Tau Empire model targets the enemy unit, improve armor penetration by 1. So all your Tau units, like regular Tau fire teams, strike teams, all that kind of stuff, they get to add 1 to their armor penetration if an enemy unit is within 9 invisible to any Tau unit.
yeah.
And then excluding Kroot and Vespid Stingwings from your army have the following ability. While a friendly Kroot or Vespid unit is wholly within 6 of invisible to this unit, that Kroot and Vespid unit can only be selected as a target of a ranged attack if the model is within 18 inches. So your Kroot and Vespid can't be shot at unless they're within 18. Which really helps them.
Yep.
And it makes it very annoying to wipe them out before they're able to get on objectives.
It makes the Tau a lot more survivable. And I love that.
It makes the Tau not just about the Gundams, which I know people love the Gundams, and I get that Gundams are cool, but the Tau are meant to be the Tau are meant to be the Covenant from Halo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have your
Like-
grunts, you have your jackals, you have your elites, you have your hunters.
Yeah, they're not just meant to be elites. Like,
This is incredible. This gives Tau something flexible. It allows, and plus it benefits their shooting, which is something my brother keeps complaining about. Because
Yeah,
for,
it's
Tau lost AP
just-
for some reason.
yeah,
we lost all our AP. So yeah, we have strength 5 standard weapons, but what point is it if I'm sitting there and I'm looking at something and it's just like, oh, guess what? What? I'm a generic fucking space marine and I'm saving every single thing anyways.
the thing I have seen some competitive Tau players complain about with this is not the detachment itself, but the underlying data sheets that it wants to run off being somewhat lackluster and not being the strongest parts of the Tau Codex, which is like is why I'd say this is probably A tier, not S tier, because it's not.
It's
like
definitely
not
not an S tier.
no. I think it's a.
It's low
lowish-
A. It's low A tier, high B tier, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I'm gonna put it in
Because-
A for the
yeah,
sole
the-
fact. For the sole fact, it made Kroot and Vespid playable.
Yeah.
Like
'Cause
that's
a large
insane.
chunk of Tau Auxiliary that you just kind of said, I can't do anything with. It'd be cool to get objectives with, but I can't use it. Now,
Also-
it's viable for you to send a Vespid wing unit off to your enemy's flank holding an objective, if not just being a nuisance.
Also, yes, GW, please more crit auxiliaries. We want more auxiliaries. Give us our psychic polar bears.
Give us our giant chicken back.
I want the giant chicken.
I mean,
Alright.
yes, also that.
Next up, Black Templar's Wrathful Procession. This is... At the start of the battle round, select one of the litanies listed below. If you do, until the end of the battle round, that litany is active. For infantry and mounted. Chorus of Relentless Hate. Add 2 to your move and add 1 to your advance. Add 1 of the strength characteristics of melee weapons equipped by models in this unit, or give them a 5+ invulnerable save against ranged attacks.
Yeah.
This is... Black Templars were supposed to be the orcs of Space Marines. This just gives them that entire mentality back.
Yeah.
This is
lackluster.
This is Gladius Task Force for Black Templars.
Yep.
This is, in my opinion, you're basically saying, hey, we have a melee-focused Space Marine army. Let's make them more melee-focused.
It's interesting because a lot of their stuff is like based around using it on chaplains and things like that, and like they're like the best like options for it and whatnot. Like, but yeah, it's like, eh.
They could have done so much more with it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's good. Do not get me wrong. This gives Black Templars an ability to survive walking up the board. This gives them armor penetration for melee combat, and plus, like, you can never say no to good movement. The problem is that it's just too fucking generic. This is like very generic for Black Templars. I was expecting something more for, like, I don't know, buffing up their chaplains, have their chaplains like have auras or something that affect the whole army. It is a procession. Why is there no chaplain love here? So
Well, there is. There's like one of the enhancements is chaplain only.
This feels like it should have been the Space Marine.
yeah, this feels like it should have been the,
Detachment.
You could have done this as a Space Marine one that was chaplain focused. Like
Yeah.
Benediction of the enhancement Benediction of Fury, chaplain model only. The bears melee weapons have devastating wounds. That's pretty good for a chaplain, especially because you can put that on a chaplain in Terminator armor.
Yeah, that came out.
or-
yeah.
Or a chaplain on bike, actually. Chaplain missile.
chaplain missile.
Well, the bonuses apply to mounted units, so technically bikes count, but at the same time, like...
Oh, and well, I guess it's also like benefit to this is that the Outriders, the Outrider bikes got buffed, and I love
Oh yeah,
it.
yeah.
Like-
The Outriders got their buff as well. Yeah.
This feels like low B at best.
Yeah,
really
this is profoundly mid to me.
It is
like this
profoundly
is C, arguably at its very best. It's low B.
And no, like we're not saying this is bad. We're saying it's boring.
Like,
Yeah.
It's lackluster. This is something that you could have just added into the codex, and everyone would have been cool with.
Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
the Templars have an issue for me, which is that like Black Templars have been so poisoned, unfortunately, by their own player base that their rules have to do a lot to climb them out of that. And this is just kind of like, eh.
Like, one of the things I wish we could get for Black Templars is to lean more heavily into their hero units, inspiring stuff around them.
I think that
That
would
would
be.
be
The thing is that
would be way cooler as an attachment. It's something that incentivizes
Yep.
you to run different
I think they'll get that in the
Honestly,
codex.
what I would have preferred was seeing like giving Sword Brethren inspiring aura. That would have been cool.
Again, like I think I think their codex will have a Sword Brethren detachment. I think it will probably have like a heroes like detachment, and it'll probably have some kind of like sacrificey detachment or something, like
Like a heavy initiate.
or like no like or like so, like kind of like sisters where they die and they get some kind of bonus that buffs up the rest of the army, like hallowed like some sort of martyrdom thing, because Templars.
Like,
But-
we
Yeah.
could hope for that, and at the same time, we could not see it. So
Well,
we
but
won't know
that's
if the
the- that-
codex is out.
Well, again, that's the thing is that they said that all of these have been designed with the knowledge of what's in all the codexes, because all the codexes are now written for the rest of the edition. So,
Mhm.
like, this one was just meh. It's like,
So, moving on to World Eaters. This one left me a bit confused, and some people on YouTube did clear it up for me, so I appreciate that. Wrath of Khorne. At the start of the battle round, after activating Blessings of Khorne, you can select one or more models from your army from those listed below. World Eaters characters, excluding Epic Heroes, 8-bound champions, Exalted 8-bound champions, Khorne Berserker champion, World Eater Terminator champion. Depending on the game size, you get to select how many. When you choose a Vessel of Wrath, you can select one of the Blessings of Khorne. Until the end of the battle round, that Blessing of Khorne is active for that Vessel of Wrath. So I got confused and thought this only affected the champion model in a unit. Nope, this affects the unit. So that was good to know. That kicked this way up in my regard. But for those that don't know, how Blessings of Khorne work is that you roll 8d6, and then you follow certain conditions on each of the abilities, and you can pick from that. So, like, one ability will say, like, either 3 4s or a triple of something or whatever, and you get to pick that. This allows you to just, like, make your Bloodthirsters or your not your Bloodthirsters, your Demon Princes of World Eaters more terrifying. This makes your Exalted 8-bound more terrifying, so on and so forth. This basically just, like, nah, Blood, I'm benefiting from my army ability way more than I should be. Which is good. Because, like, I don't know genuinely what you could do with World Eaters.
I genuinely love, like, from a rules perspective, that the World Eater's army ability, for the army that, like, is played by people who just want to, the Warhammer equivalent of turn your card sideways, or, like, you know, charge across the board and murder everything, they have an actually kind of reasonably complicated army ability in terms of, like, a lot of setup and a lot of, like, thing. But, like, I love this detachment. I think this detachment is actually great.
Like,
it wants.
Imagine just for free giving your Demon Prince of Khorne Unbridled Bloodlust, which is declare charge in advance after you advance, or Martial Excellence. You give your 8-bound unit sustained hits 1, or giving your Exalted 8-bound Feel No Pain 4+, just because fuck you. It's funny.
It incentivizes Khorne players to really lean heavily into that. This unit is now in the smack dab middle of everything. Have fun.
Yep. It's extremely fun, and this really benefits World Eaters. I give this like a high A. Because, like,
I don't want to see how
give it a
Karn
mid-A.
plays around it, to be honest.
You can't affect Karn with it. No epic
Well, I
characters.
meant with Karn on the field, and you use this with the units around Karn.
Yeah.
Not on Karn himself. I mean, like, how he plays around what you're affecting with it.
Also, I like that. I like that the entire idea of the stratagems in this are that, like, it's all the World Eaters trying to one-up each other.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's very, very interesting to play it with Karn on the field, because Karn is a nuisance to get rid of to begin with. So add something else onto the board to compete with him. You know.
Very fair.
I also like meet force with force, which basically allows you to move into combat in, like, the old way you used to be able to move into combat, where you don't have to move direct. You can just move the full charge move and try to get as many of your guys in as possible, even if that would normally involve, like, moving through engagement range. Basically, you can basically just surround units with your berserkers.
That is totally fair.
Which is cool.
All right, but last but not least, the Space Wolf detachment, the Great Wolf Watches. At the end of your opponent's charge phase, each Adeptus Astartes infantry and walker unit from your army that is within 3 of one or more enemy units and would be eligible to declare a charge against one or more of those units can declare a charge against one or more of those units, and you resolve that charge as if it were your charge phase. If that charge is successful, your unit does not receive any charge bonuses this turn. While an Adeptus Astartes Terminator unit from your armies are not battle-shocked, add 1 to their objective control characteristics.
That
This.
So, kid, I heard you liked Wolfguard for Christmas.
Yeah,
this
detachment says, hey, you like your wolves?
I
Do you
heard
like how smashy they are?
I heard you liked the first war for Armageddon.
Yeah.
I heard that you
Steel.
love First Company.
So this, in my opinion, feels very... If you aren't paying attention, you lose.
Yeah.
Just auto lose.
This is very much, we're gonna punish you for playing close combat.
And I'm gonna point out that tournament you played when you played against
The Space Wolves.
Space Wolves. If the Space Wolves player had had this detachment,
Funny thing is, I was never charging him, he was always charging me. So this actually wouldn't have helped him.
but his other games,
Oh,
Maybe
most
could've-
likely.
Oh.
you know, it maybe could have allowed him to not place as badly.
Oh, yeah.
This is gonna turn into a game of keep away. You're gonna want to keep your infantry as far away as possible.
Oh, but
It's beautiful to run into Khorne and the Dark Angels, though, because they're detachments.
This,
I mean, let's
Oh,
be,
yeah.
let's be honest. The Space Wolves having a detachment which is thematically good against the Dark Angels is very funny.
I
Oh,
also
yeah.
want to respond with, this is, on the surface, this looks like amazing, and it is, but there's a major downside, and that's because your Space Wolf units do not benefit, do not get their charge benefits. Which sucks! But, this is still a nasty surprise, and remember, it's any unit that's eligible to be charged.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you can drag in people that your opponent didn't want you dragging in, period.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That reminds me of 8th edition there,
oh
You-
yeah.
where it's
You're
like,
gonna
oh,
want-
heroic intervention from 8 inches away.
You're gonna want to bring a lot of fast-moving units that can get up the board very quickly to get into melee combat with this.
Yes, if only the Space Wolves had an incredibly fast-moving, say, mounted unit that was very,
Yeah.
actually quite resilient.
Yeah.
Man.
Also,
well,
if you countercharge with Wolfguard Terminators, your opponent is now in combat with Wolfguard Terminators. It doesn't matter that they're going to get their charge bonuses. They're still in combat with Wolfguard Terminators. They can't just ignore them.
I don't
Yeah.
want to be here anymore. Too bad.
This is one of those. You know the meme where it's "let me in" and he's banging on the door.
Yeah.
This is very much so the "get me out of here" instead. And you have
Krusty-
the original Spider-Man
Krusty-
movie. I've got you for 3 minutes.
Krusty wants out.
Yeah.
This is. It
I think
sucks
it's
that
A.
it sucks that you lose your charge abilities when using this, but at
Yeah.
the same time,
It
you're
makes up
shutting
for it
up.
in other ways.
If you're fighting an army that's heavily shooty, you're shutting up an army.
Yeah.
This is
I think Tau are gonna hate this personally.
any
Oh, and Eldar.
any ranged army is going to fucking hate this.
Uh-huh.
But this is a good army ability if you know what you're doing. It does lose points because you do lose the ability, you do lose your charge abilities, which Space Wolves really need to be more effective. But being able to shut down an army by just charging on their turn, oof. So this gets a bottom A tier from me.
Yeah, I think it firmly sits in A, It doesn't fall out of it, but it doesn't leave A.
If the Space Wolves were able to keep their charge bonuses, it would be an S tier for me.
100%.
Yeah.
Because then there's no escaping them. There's no...
This is the tier list. So at the top, I have put Creations of Bile at S tier. After that, it is Eldar, Orcs, and Mechanicus are in S tier. Chaos Space Marines, Eldar, Orcs, Mechanicus. In A tier, we have Thousand Suns, Gatekeeping S, Chaos Knights, World Eaters, Necrons, I think that's Tyranids? Yeah, it's Tyranids.
Yeah.
Demons of Chaos, Adeptus Custodes, Tau Empire, Space Wolves. At B tier, we have Gatekeeping A tier, Death Guard, Blood Angels, Drukhari, Imperial Guard, Black Templars, and Grey Knights. C tier, we have Genestealer Cults, Imperial Knights, Leagues of Votan, Dark Angels, and at the bottom, we have Space Marines and Sisters of Battle.
I mean, like, it's also probably worth saying that, like, even like with the tier stuff, all of these are probably still very fun to play in like Crusade and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
like even like you even said it, like Librarius Conclave. Oh, this is crap. Yeah, unless you want to play the Raven,
Blood Ravens.
Blood Ravens First Company, or even just like a Blood Ravens company that is like thematically appropriate. Yeah. You want to reenact Dawn of War 1? Go for it.
You know, in my opinion, too, is even though we ranked these the way we did based on personal opinions, when the codexes come out, we could be completely wrong on how strong some of these are.
Yep.
Well, except for Custodians, which already has their codex.
That's the thing, is Custodians could go up or down because of this at this point.
I mean, no, Custodians already have their codex, that's why.
But we firmly planned them in... But what I'm saying is they could become the gatekeepers into A or the gatekeepers into B, though.
Yeah.
Depending upon how.
Perfect example of that. Does Sisters of Battle massively increase in our opinion of it if they basically reverse their changes on the Sisters Honor?
Oh, it easily does that.
Yeah.
Like a balanced data slate comes out, my opinion of this tier list completely changes. Like,
yeah, if they change the Sisters, their detachment rule to 1 miracle dice, it'd go up for me.
Oh yeah. But
it just...
until those changes come, this is the list.
Yeah.
Until all the codexes are out, we won't know who is top of the food chain just yet.
I mean, do we want to review what got revealed on the 25th?
Oh, So, for those that don't know, if you aren't in my server, because I was salivating over it, we got the brand new reveal on Christmas Day.
Big boy!
Fulgrim is back.
And he is looking fabulous as ever.
I will be building and running a Emperor's Children army. I love this model. God, I love him.
I would like to say something.
What's up?
All the hate I see going around about this model is unwarranted. Anyone who's hating on this model is hating because it's not Mr. Pretty Boy. Instead, he's out for blood. I like this.
Model.
I don't get it. I do not get the hate around this model. I like both.
This is a beautiful model.
The design of his face very clearly gives us the fact that he's in it for combat, and it's not...
He has multiple faces. We have him smiling. We have him, like, angry. We have him with a helmet on.
So I really don't like the top left one. The smiling one. It's just
Smiling
the creepiest. Yeah, it's just the creepiest thing you could possibly give the man.
The smiling one gives me Willem Dafoe in the first Spider-Man movie.
Yeah. that bottom right hand one gives me. So I
that's
don't know.
Green Goblin. I love that one.
That's a Green Goblin.
So it's not just Green Goblin. Anyone remember the Van Helsing movie?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes? Yes? Do you know where I'm coming from?
Yes.
Christopher Walken, I gotcha.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of.
Neon
For those of you who
Nexus.
don't know, Van Helsing from the early 2000s is one of, if not the best werewolf movie. Also, it's like The Mummy, one of the greatest bioawakening movies there is. Monster tendencies.
Neon Nexus. Fulgrim is Primarch of the Emperor's Children Legion. This is the Slanesh demon Primarch coming to 40k, along with the Emperor's Children sometime in 2025. So hopefully, if the world doesn't get nuked, yeah, I'm getting this. I don't care.
Did you see what they said about the sword that he has in, I believe, his his right of picture hand, the one
in his right hand there?
not in what would be the right hand side of the photo, which is his left hand.
The bottom one here?
No, the other side.
His right hand, our left side?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It says in the article it is it's scroll down, it's like somewhere in there. It's like a blade gifted to him by someone a long time ago, made from like a quickened silver. It's the sword that Ferris gave him.
Oh, that's... Oh. Oh. R.I.P. Iron Hands lovers. Yes.
Because is it Lucius has the lair sword?
Yeah, he has
now?
the lair blade. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he gave Lucius that blade in order to use full... Wow.
Because it doesn't have the demon in it, because he destroyed the demon that was possessing him. Because, right, it's like, in the first half of the heresy, it's implied that, like, Fulgrim is in the sword.
Oh, he was in a painting.
Yeah. Painting is beautiful.
But yeah, like, I'm very excited for this model. When it comes out, I am getting it. I will build as I paint on stream, because holy fuck, this model is beautiful, but I can already tell that it's going to be a bastard.
I think your Angron is still going to hold the cake for most difficult one you've done yet.
Well, I'm not even done Angron. I'm just saying, fuck it, I'm throwing that to someone else to paint for me.
Like, I've seen a few people doing, like, the, like Primarch's tier list, like, now with the models, because we've got enough of them to do it with.
Have you shown the two models you painted for me, buddy?
Which one are those?
The Avatar of Cain.
Oh, I showed them a long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those were really well done.
But yeah, like, people, there is an argument going on. I don't fucking get it. It's basically the same fucking model at the end of the day, too. Like, I don't get it.
One is more like, and the design even says this, like, they designed Fulgrim Transfigured to be more like opulent and more like beautiful, because he's only recently turned into the demon, whereas the 40k version is him having degraded over 10,000 years in the warp.
Which makes total sense. I love both of these models.
Yeah.
But the advantage this one's going to have is that it's not going to break when I try to transport it.
And it'll probably cost about half as much.
Yeah!
Another thing I want to point out as well is it's the way the model is designed. I think building coverage is going to be a bit different.
Oh, yeah. Plus, I can already tell this is going to be much easier to paint than the other one. But that doesn't mean the other one's bad. Like, as I said, I love both of these models. I've been waiting for Fulgrim. I've been waiting for Snake Daddy for years, and he's finally here. So, so long as the world doesn't get nuked, so long as America keeps to its fucking self, yeah, good times ahead.
You know, I'm hoping this time next year I'm still here for us to go over the tier list again.
I know.
I'll kinda.
Yeah.
I would like to do this again next year and cover what happened
Same.
over the year and
I
see
mean,
how our predictions hold
like,
up. But
that's actually like an interesting point. It's like legitimately for GW, like I like talking about like the whole Grotmas thing, like as a whole. I think as like overall, like that's been like a massive like positive.
Oh, this has been a win.
Like,
This has been a win. I don't like. Yeah, we may have like said like some of these detachments are bad, but like really think about it. Why was D tier bad? One focused way too heavily on a unit that Space Marines really just like take sometimes, and the other one was only bad because of a nerf.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yep.
None of them are unplayable. That's the thing. Like
none of them are
like,
unplayable.
Like suboptimal is not unplayable. That's the thing.
And like
also like there's also like for the ones that are bad, like the sisters, you could run a house rule saying it's only one miracle dice.
Yeah. Like
nothing stopping you.
This is we did take competitive into account. But like at the end of the day, a lot of people are not playing 40k competitively. They're playing for fun. Yeah. They're playing open play with their friends. It's like, who cares? These are.
I think the best detachment for fun play, the two best ones for it, are gonna be orcs.
Yep.
And I think this is just personal opinion, but I think Black Templar is actually gonna be kind of fun for personal play.
Sorry.
I'm gonna say this right now. I'm sorry, I had to say this. I find it fucking hilarious that the orcs are using their brains and the Black Templars are not. I think that's funny.
Yeah, that's why I think they're gonna be the most fun for fun detachments.
The orcs detachment is probably gonna be the funnest one to fight against.
There was a post that was put up a while ago as like someone had done like some market research or something like that, and it was fairly recent as well. It was like within the last couple of years. It was like within like the last year or so, and like the majority of people that they talked to who came into their store to buy 40k stuff, if they did play the game, they just played it using the rules and the points costs out of the codex book. They didn't update, they didn't use any of the balance updates, they didn't use any of the competitive stuff. So all of the discussion, all of the noise online about like this army is good, this army is sub tier, this needs to be balanced, this needs to have a data slate about it, etc. Like the majority of people that were at least buying from this guy's store just weren't engaging with that because they were playing once a month with someone maybe, and they just used the books that they had and the points that were in that and the versions of the rules that were in that.
Which, by the way, just want to point out something. A lot of the 3D printing people that were getting mad at me were like, "Oh, this is like you're saying we can't do this for fun either." I'm like, I never said that. This was only for competitive.
Yeah,
I just wanted to point that out.
Anyway. I think there's a massive echo chamber effect in terms of like people saying like this thing's bad. Like you can be bad at playing the best detachment, and you can be great at playing the worst detachment. You know.
Remember, people said that Custodes was one of the worst armies in 40k. They won worlds.
Yep.
It's not.
Their codex is complete trash. Everyone hates it. It's an abomination. Oh wait, they're just now suddenly one of the best armies in the game.
Yeah.
It's why it's really funny with the new detachment, with the rules changes that could be coming. They could win again.
Yep.
And then what?
But it is time to go, my friends. This will be not the last stream of 2024. That'll be Monday. But yeah, I will see you all on Monday, everybody. Please remember to take care, look after your friends, spread the love, spread the fun, because 2025, at least for America, for the Americans,
it's going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting and not in a good way. But until then, my friends, be safe, love you all, and I'll see you all on Monday. Good night, everybody.